Wednesday afternoon here on Besseton on the program, Bitter Sugar. Give thanks, give thanks, give thanks. And we start off with that song, You Won't Come Crucify I Because I'm Black. And that has been the order of the day, brothers and sisters. All because we are black. That's many of our persecutions, many of our tribulations, and many of the systematic fight down starts there, all because we're black. And then after they get over the black part and they realize that your philosophy, your life, your pathway that you have chosen is consistent with your blackness, that you cannot be bought, neither will you betray the race, then that's when the persecution becomes tremendously horrible, brutal, and steps are made to eliminate you. So we want you all to understand that when we are black people, that we must, of necessity, stand up for our race and use the very reason why they persecute you to become your strength, to not only to resist and to defend against them, but to turn it around, and you now become the ones asserting the dignity of your race, the power of your race. Yes, brothers and sisters. So we're not using that to cower in a corner, but we use the very same blackness to portray ourselves as a mighty race. And therefore, it bleeds me every time when I see the boats leaving, whether it is the Canary Islands off the western coast of Africa, or the boats leaving from Libya or Tunisia with our black people trying to cross into Europe. It pains me, it hurts me when I see that, black people. In sometime this week, there was one boat that capsized with black people, and more than 50 other of our people drowned. It hurt me, brothers and sisters. And it hurt me even more when I am getting more information that shows, and I don't know if some of you saw that video. My brother, Seiko Tafari, sent it to me, showing that in a cave in Libya, I'm going to pass the atlas, two of them, yes. There's another atlas also. We're going to reach for our atlas because when you're on this program, there's a couple of things you have to have. You have to have your pen and paper to write down any numbers that come in or so. Write down the names of any books that we mention. We want you to follow. And sometimes do your own research and check upon these things. And not just add to your knowledge, but help to add to my knowledge. So, as we speak of Africa and our people leaving Africa, let's look at the map of Africa. And when you look at the map of Africa, to the north of Africa, you have a country named Libya. And like I said, just this week, we had brothers and sisters in boats trying to cross from Libya over into Europe, and the boat capsized, and many of our people drowned. There was also a boat traveling from West Africa, from the Canary Islands. And there were some mishap there also, and some persons drowned. So, and like I said, why it pains me so much is that I got this video this week, which I took time to watch. And it showed that in the caves, in some of that rock area in Libya, they have found a mummified body of a little boy. And that little boy was fully mummified. It means it is an mummified, it's like an embalming process that the Africans use to preserve a body, someone who has died, and they want to preserve that body. And they have certain herbs, certain plants, certain spices that they use in order to preserve that body. Now, this little boy's body that they found, fully intact, well preserved. And hear what? It is some white anthropologists. Well, not they found the body. That was found by some Bedouins. But the white people, some Italian scientists and others, they took that mummified body to Rome and using the carbon machine. The carbon machine is a machine that can test and show you the age of wood, the age of stone, and the age of bones. And they tested that body of that little boy, and they realized that the age of that mummified body was over 5,500 years old. Brothers and sisters. Now, why am I saying this? Because we have always associated mummies and mummified bodies with Egypt. And the oldest mummified body that they have in Egypt is 4,500 years old. So to find a mummified body in Libya, brothers and sisters, in Libya, nearer to the central parts of Africa, and the little boy's body was shown to be a black body, negroid features, black. Not no brown, Arabish looking or anything like that, like they love to show you in Egypt. This was a black little boy. And like I said, they took his body to Rome, tested it using the carbon machine, and realized it was over 5,500 years old, which means that the central part of Africa, or those areas nearer to the central parts of Africa, knew the art of mummifying and preserving their dead ones 1,000 years before the Egyptians. And many people like to credit the Egyptians, and many people like to say Egypt they are not part of Africa, and they're more Arabic and all that type of thing. Well, here we now have unquestionable a black boy whose mummified body is over 5,500 years old, and therefore It's more than 1,000 years, more than any mummification that they have found in Egypt. This is important, brothers and sisters, because here it is. And it grieves me because it is some white scientist who goes to these places and make these finds. Or black people find and the white people develop from that find. And here they are glorifying, because the more they find these things, is the nearer they get to understanding the origin of humankind, the origin of people on this earth. When they find these things, it's not just you find a body. A lot of research, a lot of follow-up material, a lot of follow-up excavations and investigations is carried out as to why they would mummify this little boy. Was he a prince or so? They would, surround that with all sorts of investigations. And these are mainly white people doing that. So whilst they are going to Africa to make all of these so-called discoveries, Africans are jumping on board to sail out of Africa. That's why it grieves me, brothers and sisters. Here it is that other people are searching to find the origin of human being, to find those that the earliest forms of life and so on and so forth. And they're running away. We who created it, we the Africans who made it. Because after this little boy was taken to Rome and certain certification took place, it didn't just stop there. The scientists then went to NASA. NASA is the space headquarters in the United States. So these scientists now were looking at the body and testing and so on. They went to NASA. And the NASA scientists now, the reason why they went to NASA, at the place where they found this little boy, there were drawings on the rocks surrounding this place and these caves and so on. There were lots of drawings on the rocks, drawings on the sides of the rocks, drawings on the flat parts of the rocks and so on. Tremendous amount of drawing. When I say drawings, people make tremendous markings and so on the rocks itself. And we're talking about these drawings of thousands of years old. Now, what was interesting at this area where this little boy is found, it's almost in the desert, brothers and sisters, right on the edge of the desert in Libya. And the drawings on the walls of the caves, the drawings on the rocks and on the stones, there were drawings of cows, drawings of goats, there were drawings of alligators, there were drawings of hippopotamus, lions, and other animals. Clear, distinct drawings, because the scientists, they even took a rock specialist to the place to, decipher all of these drawings and to make them clearer. And so the next question is, if this little boy is found mummified here, under these, near the stones and under this, in this cave, near the rocks, and there are drawings near to him showing all these animals and so on. But of course, none of those animals is in that area now because it's desert. Desert, brothers and sisters, sand upon sand. So they went to NASA. And nowadays, they have all sorts of machines and equipment that can literally look right through you. These equipments can stay out of space, and they can project and look at things below the surface of the earth. Yes, they have those capabilities. They can tell where oil is, where water is, where diamond is, gold, and so on. They have those. You don't have to go digging up the place to find these things. They know quite well. So this technology could easily be used to solve many problems, especially in countries that have a shortage of water. But they're not interested in that. They don't mind some of us dying. But the reason for them going to NASA now was for them to look below the earth, below the surface of the earth, to see what is under the earth at this time, near to the cave where the little boy was found mummified. And what they showed you was that under that sand, that whole heap of sand there and so on, underneath it, there were valleys, there were riverbeds, there were canals, which showed that thousands of years ago, that area was full of water. That area was a savanna, savanna where the animals would graze and so on, and that whole entire area was full of life. And that is where you had those drawings there. The people can't just draw what them don't know or draw what them never see it and all of that. They had those drawings, the alligator is very, very helpful when you see those drawings of the alligator. Because people have to run from alligator, have to stay there but you draw alligator. Especially on stone. It's not like on paper where you mark and just make 2 marks. No, stones you have to dig into the stone for it to stay there all these years, over 5,000 years, for us to now be able to look at it and take pictures of it and see it and so on. So that's what the NASA people showed, that under that area, under that sun and under that desert, there were these canals and riverbeds and all of that. Of course, no water, isn't it? No. But the markings are there which show the channels that water used to flow through. So this is further tremendous help, tremendous proof in helping to understand the civilization that existed in Libya 5,500 years ago. I should point out that also on the drawings of the wall there are some drawings of people. And there were drawings of people which show that these people, their features were nearer to white people. They were nearer to white people. There were drawings that also showed black people. So again, we can learn from that and realize that there were black people coming up to Libya from the south, and also there were white people coming, or whitish looking people coming from the northern part, possibly from Europe, possibly from certain other lands nearby there, that also came down to Egypt. Not to Egypt, sorry, to Libya. So that Libya at the time must have been seen like a melting pot area where people from different lands were conglomerating and so forth. And so therefore, when people gather, ideas come. You come from the northern, one come from the south, different ideas would come in, intermingle, and a fertilization of ideas would take place, and out of that, new ideas are born. Those are some of the things we are deducing from some of these drawings in the caves. So, brothers and sisters, I mention all that to make you all realize that the extent, because we have always had a lot of, we have a lot of fossils, we have a lot of human skeletons and so on found in the eastern part of Africa. That is within the Nile Valley, where a civilization emerged. That Nile Valley, so when we say Nile Valley, we're talking about same place where the Nile flow, where that river flows. A lot of fossils, human remains have been found which have been dated using the same carbon machine and so on, that have been dated at millions of years old. Millions. So when we come across situations now that is not within that Nile Valley and is now coming nearer to Central Africa, and especially when we see its black features, obviously black features, it makes us very, very excited. Very excited, brothers and sisters. And like I said, it grieves me now to see that we who gave those level of levity and civilization and so on is now finding the descendants of those brilliant ancestors are now trying their best to leave Africa, taking risks, carrying their babies, some babies that are still sucking the mother's breasts. They carry them, take them on these treacherous journey. The whole thing is a whole scamming going on, because they have to pay huge sums of money to these first to the lorry drivers that drive around Africa, different parts of Africa, picking up people, carrying them to the coast of Libya, the coast of Tunisia, you know, Algeria, for them to make the crossing and so on. So, and then now, right, and then now it's a whole scamming thing, and then you have to go on these boats, again charge a lot of money. Some of these boats are in terrible condition, some of them leaking even before them start the journey, you know. So the risk of reaching the other side, you know, the risk, very dangerous, very dangerous. And we grieve now to see that this is happening. If you look at the west of Africa, you have a set of islands there known as the Canary Islands. If you look off the coast of to the west of Morocco, the west of Western Sahara, you have the Canary Islands. I think those islands are controlled by Spain. So you have our people now leaving from mainland, going over to the Canary Islands, catching all sort of boats, and then trying to make it now from the Canary Islands to go up into Spain and Portugal. Another treacherous, rough journey, brothers and sisters, very rough, because you're going out now to open sea, you know. You have some who even go out to Cape Verde Islands, where you can see off the coast of Africa there. And then from Cape Verde Islands, which is our next long, treacherous journey along the coast, to go up to the Canary Islands and then go up into Spain, you know. Then you have the other set now going up into Libya, trying to cross the Mediterranean now to go over into Greece and go over into Italy, you know. But I blame some of the people, of course, because, you know, you can't get the excuse to just you go and do all of that. And, but I blame the leadership of Africa even more. I blame the leadership of Africa. Many of these leaders, instead of using the resources to buy guns and ammunition and all sorts of weapons of mass destruction and all of that, instead of using the money for frivolities and so forth, keeping expensive birthday parties, trying to make your capitals look like New York and Paris and so on, you know, some of these fandangles which cost quite a bit, you could use all that money to solidify the infrastructure of your country, to ease poverty, eliminate poverty. Don't give me no excuse about whether it is desert or whether it's dry time and all of that. You can plan for these things, you know. And of course, improve your educational standard. All the way around, we need to improve that. so that many of our people can use education to take them out of poverty. Look in Jamaica now. They're opening up the economy, they're opening up the country. For what? Entertainment. Entertainment, that's more in line. They're seeing how they can accommodate Dream Weekend and all these other entertainment. Brothers and sisters, I don't say there's sometimes you don't need entertainment, but your priorities are skewed, government. Priorities are out of place. You open up, first of all, for education. That is the vital thing. And this summer, you, the government, pass regulations preventing any of the teachers at the school to have any summer classes at the school. That was disastrous of you. That was a wrong policy. To ban any summer school at the schools itself. That's bad. The children were thirsty to get back into that socialization and that classroom setting and that learning setting. The two summer classes that we had down at 75 East Street, I tell you, man, a blessing. The children were ecstatic right throughout. And it was just nice to hear them singing or reciting some of the very things that I used to sing and recite. So it showed that the teaching methods really haven't changed that much. But, you know, and some of the teachers asked now to take a break for August so that they could get a little rest and prepare themselves for September. And many of the parents want to continue during August. Because them say, boy, I know that they don't want them to slacken off. You know, you make special provisions for education, not for entertainment. Entertainment is occasionally. You don't make entertainment your main thrust. But I tell you about how much dollar you earn, and so entertainment must be an addendum in the book, not the main book, brothers and sisters. So I start off there by saying how glad we are to see that we are finding fossils, finding artifacts, finding drawings, and so on, which help us to guide us as to the heights of the civilization that our people had reached and which we can reach again.
The life, respect the music, and keep your radio locked in to the best 100 FM. The station with the best music. Best music.
I love the music.
Best music.
On Mother Earth, on top of Big Mountain, according to the traditional culture, the holy way, and beauty be above us, be below us, beauty be all around us. So you cannot continue. Concrete prison, but still we let our spirit fly. On top of the mountain, there is no room for Babylon. On top of the mountain, they don't deal with the system. On top of the mountain, you can find true Americans. Yeah. On top of the mountain, there is no need for Babylon. Just justifying their plans. No, them just a crop material vultures with intentions to rape a land. Bloody torture, from kids, and it's torture. Every dog must appear to pay. Soon enough, never have to pray. On top of the mountain, here is no room for Babylon.
Right.
On top of the mountain,
I'm not seeing no comments.
maybe nobody now comment or is it?
But people tell me that they do. Let me not get through.
Yeah.
Tell me something, man.
Maybe soon come up, I don't know.
No, it's not come, no time.
That part of what can't affect the YouTube control that, so I don't know, we're not sure. That part of what them
People
control.
call me and tell me.
We can't affect that. Our YouTube control that then. Most we can do a caption and send it live.
Huh?
Most we can do a caption, the thing and send it live. They control everything else.
I'm wondering if it's coming up or we're not seeing it. If there's something we're not press or something. Yes, you have it. No need for Babylon. As we continue along this path, I want you all to yes, we continue. And I'm going to read a little excerpts from the horse here. Some people say the horse here is spelled Husia. Tend to say the horse here. And the horse here is thus a vital step towards the recreation and restoration of our spiritual foundation. Yep. To the ancient black people of the Nile Valley, Mahat is spelled M-A-A-T, Mahat was the highest ethical commitment. The social formula for Mahat is reciprocity. The creator, DF, and I'll spell it for you, in reference to the creator, when you think of Mahat and the reciprocity, is Dif Ankh. And that is D spelled D-I with a dot, and then you have F. Then you have Ankh, A-N-K-H, the Ankh. And when that is translated, it means he gives life. Now, human beings, in turn, must give that which sustains life. In other words, if the Creator gives you life, then human beings, in return, must sustain that life. And you sustain that life, both mental and physical. In that regard, the Hosea is an outstanding model of Mahat. I will just read a little section here from, here's a section in the Mahat entitled Book of Prayers and the Sacred Praises. And I must point out to you that what I'm reading from the Hosea, these are writings that were found which have been translated to English so that we can read them. And these writings predates the Bible that you all read and regard as a holy book. In fact, many of the things in the Bible were taken from the principles of Mahat and taken from books like these, the Book of Prayers and Sacred Praises. I'm just going to read one little section here. It says here, Book of Sacred Prayers and Praises, chapter 7. It starts out by saying, praise to you, Amen Ra. And I should, many times when you read and you pray, and at the end of it you say, Amen. Now that comes, this Amen comes from the spiritual teachings that existed in Ethiopia, in Egypt, in North Africa, long before the Bible was written, that people would say, Amen, spelled same way, Amen, both before and after a prayer. Here, the Hosea spells it out by saying, praises to you, Amen Ra, who spoke with his mouth, and there came into being men, powers and principles of the universe, cattle great and small, and everything that flies and alights, all of them. Here, this is saying, Amen Ra, when you speak with your mouth, then came human beings, then came powers, principles of the universe, cattle, great and small, and everything that flies and alights, all of them. In other words, brothers and sisters, what I'm reading to you is the creation, the creative process. And just like they put it now in the Bible of saying, and God spoke and made man, and on the first day he did this, second day he did that. All of this is written in the Osir, not in that type of language, because it has been translated, come down, and so on. But in other words, when Amen-Ra spoke with his mouth, these were the things that happened. You created even the banks of the Hanubi people who settle in their cities, and also the fruitful meadows fertilized by the original waters and giving birth thereafter to good things without number to support all that lives. You are mighty as a shepherd, tending all people for all eternity. Bodies are filled with your beauty, and eyes see because of you. You inspire awe in everyone, and their hearts turn to you. For you are good at all times, and all the world lives from your presence. Everyone says, we are yours, the strong and the weak together, the rich and the poor with one mouth, and all others likewise. You are lovely in their hearts, and nobody lacks some of your beauty. O Ra, all can turn to you and place their petitions before you. Your ears are open to hear them, and you grant what they desire. You are the creator who loves those in his image, the shepherd who is fond of his flock. Praise be to you, O Ra, Lord of truth, whose sanctuary is hidden, Lord of lords. And I just read that little part there, brothers, and to give you an idea of the similarity between that whole creation and creative process as written in the Bible, but not as simple, straightforward as we have it here, and that many of those things are taken from the writings of our great Ethiopian, Egyptian, and African sages who, in their connections with the Creator, were able to fashion and come up with these principles and policies. You see, brothers and sisters, and this now, these praises to Amen-Ra, these understanding the principles of Mahat, which is one of reciprocity. And when you tie that in now to what Shikanta Diop said, that in terms of the origin of man, the difference between those people living in the Nile Valley region and the Nile Valley area, where most things are provided for you, the trees, the in harmony with nature, the rivers, so many things are in harmony. You just go out and pick, you just go out and plant, plow the land, whatever, and things are provided for you in abundance. That is what Shikanta Diop told us in that origin of African civilization. And then he compares that now with the white man living in a European snow-packed, cold, aggressive climate up north. And what Diop is saying is that in that atmosphere, survival becomes more important than creativity. He has to struggle to survive. Whereas those coming from the Nile Valley civilization, we were blessed with the gifts of nature, the gifts of Ra, the gifts of reciprocity. Take care of us, we'll take care of you, and so on. So, question is, how does this help us now? How does this help us to understand? Do we jump into an age and just ignore all of this and say, no, man, that's a long time business? How does all of this now? This is what some of you must be thinking. these things sound irrelevant. It doesn't matter whether we created this or other people created that. So, brothers and sisters, I put this out for us to think. You must say to yourselves, how it is now that we are coming from this level of understanding the principles of math, of understanding our Creator, of knowing our Creator, who is part of us, lives with us. We must reciprocate to Him. How it is now that we end up following the white man. That's why I want to bring it up. How it is that we end up now, after giving the world all these things, after understanding all these philosophies, showing the difference of our living standards and because if you are in a situation where the earth itself is blessing you, the earth is giving you in abundance, so you now have time to formulate your principles of the Godhead. You now have time to create things. You now have time to be an architect, drawings, make things. You now have time to build cities and all of that, and so forth. And then now you drop to a level. The other man who is battling against nature, battling against the cold, battling against barren lands and so on, battling against frozen rivers, and you end up following him? Think about it, my people. You end up following him. Well, don't you think if we restore ourselves and we understand black glory, we shouldn't be following him. You're selling out our ancestors. You're selling us out. And even though we were brought to this land, there's no excuse. Come on, brothers and sisters. When we say we, black people, give the world the type of civilization that the world now has, look how easy it is for man to fly up to space. Look how easy. 10 minutes, less than 10 minutes, go into space, come back. Less than 10 minutes. Bezos took the other day. But when the Zulus tell us hundreds of years ago that they don't come from Earth, they are from space, we laugh at them. They must be mad. Mad people, they talk about them, no come. Yes. When the Ashanti say that their golden stool came from outer space, we laugh at them and say they must be mad. But brothers, don't you see that these things, in 10 minutes, you are able to fly up and come back down to space. You go on the edge of space and you say you go outer space. When the Dogons were drawing the pathways of stars, long before computers, long before telescope and all these fancy things, and the Dogons using mathematics precisely were drawing the movement of certain stars and so on. When the Dogons were able to calculate the rotation of the earth, mathematically precise. Brothers and sisters, and when we tell them these things, people would laugh and say, no, man, just follow the white man. Well, brothers and sisters, start to think now and stop following them. Whatever problems we have solved it before, we can solve it again. Who is making all these guns? These weapons of mass destruction? Look for yourself. Look around for yourself. These black people are make them nuclear weapon and tanks we can fire this and M60 with bullets and all. These black people are making. No, it's the white man, because that is how he thinks. how to destroy, how to bleed blood. That's how he thinks, brothers and sisters. He uses the economy of the earth and the wealth of the earth to make weapons. When you take millions of dollars and make one gun, one weapon, one tank, when that could have saved all of the suffering of my people, and we black people come follow him? Come on now, man. So that's what. Relate it now to life. Relate it to what's happening. All these guns coming into Jamaica, it's white people making them, you know. If they make America, they make England. If they make England, they make Israel and all of that. They're black people they make it. And yet we run him down. We go and stand up out in the sun at his embassy. We celebrate and make songs when you get a visa. And you don't stop and think that all you're doing is going further and deeper into the lap of the enemy that will make you nobody. Look how much work black people do in America. Look how much work. And look how easy it was for Chauvin to kill a black man. Look how easy. With so many people standing and watching. They had time to video it and all of that. Nobody don't take a brick and lick the white man in his head and make him have to come out for the black man and save the life. They witnessed the death. Black people, white people, police, all of them witnessed the death of a brother. That more important than do something, fling something, mash the car glass, mash the car window, make a distraction. 7 minutes. Brothers and sisters, come on now, man. That's where the world gone to it. It's movie. Everything is movies.
Of glory shall come. Arise, 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 and behold thy sin. Arise, black man, arise, arise, and behold thy sin. It is sin in the world too long, and it seems we don't know when we're right or wrong. Help me sing my song, black man, arise. Arise, black man, arise. Arise and know thyself, arise, black man, arise. Arise and know thyself, for the moon shall turn into blood, and the rivers turn into flood, and the sun will never shine. Black man, arise. Arise, black man, arise. Arise and know thyself. Arise, black man, arise. Arise and know thyself.
I didn't. Just come back from it. Said notion. You come over, so now you have to come nearer, and she can sit over there so beside her sister.
Every man on earth is a man, and every tongue have to stand on its own. God wants no man to where you from, black man arise.
He's on the line?
Yeah, hold on, brother. Because when I'm doing all this,
Huh? You get it?
hold on, 1 second. I'm not doing any of this yet. The ads.
Oh, all right. Sorry. Go ahead.
See you over at face bruise up? Them people just because I said I'm tired.
I'm only 13, but I said if I work hard up, that will make me go back home. Me not have no birth paper nor the ID. Them have all of my documents there. Forced labor is one of the many forms of human trafficking. Report suspected cases of human trafficking. Call the nearest police station 119 or 888 Protect. A message from the Ministry of National Security.
Security guards must be certified to get licensed to work, says the government. Don't hesitate, don't delay. Get certified and enter a prosperous career with local and City and Guilds international certification in security personnel in 6 to 8 weeks at Distinction College, an approved City and Guilds Center endorsed by the PSRA with locations in Kingston, Tanishtown, and Ocho Start classes very soon. No subjects required, no experience required, no entrance test, no age limits. Call 356-4167.
It's good. It's better. With nothing beats.
He's on the line.
Yeah, man.
Eh?
Yes.
Ah, come on. Yeah, man. Greetings, greetings, greetings and blessings. Welcome, welcome, my brothers in St. Lucia. Greetings, Raswin. Yeah, man, I'm hearing you now. I'm hearing you well, my brother. Give thanks. Great to hear from the man. And I know you're with Priest Kailash. Yes, I. And for my listeners that we're speaking to Professor Wayne Rose, along with our Honorable Priest Kailash, and they're actually in St. Lucia. St. Lucia, one of the Caribbean islands, an island which is similar in a lot of ways to Jamaica, and so on. So welcome, my brother. Welcome, my brothers. Yes, yes, yes. Calling for the rising of the mind, yes. That is part of our history. So give thanks. Nice, nice. And I know whilst you're down there, Brother Rose, your mind is working. And yes, and once the mind is working, beauty comes out. It's natural to us. We're not thinking of building no weapons to kill nobody. We're thinking of building things that can uplift the greatness, not only of our race, but for humankind. For truth, my brother. Yes. For truth. And this is, I here really, the main thrust of even coming here is to make sure that I can have that level of rejuvenation, spiritual and physical, because the journey ahead is a powerful one. Yes. And it's an important one, the next step for people. And so I really have to take the opportunities that what is presented to us right here at Mount Kailash, with the Honorable Priest Kailash, is that opportunity for I to come after going through some significant tribulation. I didn't make surgery just to let the family know, we didn't publicize it, but significant major surgery. And, they pump a man like I don't for over 25 minutes, do have no drugs in that body, pump pipe with all different kind of things just to tolerate the pain. And those things impact, impact us in a serious way. And so that's why I was ill. Beautiful. In that regard, and I had an opportunity to come here to the Honorable Priest Kailash and the work I know he's been doing in healthcare. And so I came for a healing and a rejuvenation. Beautiful. And in that process, my beloved brother, as you say, the thinking, you see the magic of the moment. Yes? Yes. And you see serious people thinking about the next steps in as they speak unto my heart. Yes. Speaking of reconnecting with that energy of goodness that exists within I. Yes. That energy to build ourselves, to redefine ourselves, to create the world anew. Yes. That is what we're experiencing here at the moment. And out of that, things are emerging, thoughts that our people should have long thought about, but is now is the moment. Thinking about uniting ourselves in forces to take our state Yes, beautiful, beautiful. Priest Kayla, let us hear your voice, my brother. Yes. Yes, you're there, my brother. I give thanks, my brother. Give thanks to hear your voice. And that book you gave me a few years ago over in St. Vincent, that beautiful book with some beautiful pictures of the herbs, how to use the herbs, what to use the herbs for. I treasure that book greatly. In fact, at different times I have read excerpts of it on my program. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. What makes you, in my mind, very special was a little of what, although you said it en passant a while ago, but it is so important because you have actually experienced, let us say now, the formal part as such, the chemical part, I should say, of medicine by actually going to medical school. And you have been able to marry that knowledge with your original knowledge of the knowledge of the herbs and the bush and the spices and all those things. Been able to put them all together now. And then when a man like you say, this is good for that, that is good for that. Because why I say the chemical part of the medicine was they take the original plant and they add things, in some cases, they add things to it or they take things out of it. And then what we get now is a watered down copy version of the real thing. So you have that understanding of how that works. And then, like I said, you're able to marry it now with that knowledge of nature and how it works. And I think that's what makes you empirically worthy of advising many of us as to how to endure the machinations of life.
Well, I give thanks for how the I have actually said it because going through the whole realms of the growing up, I grew up as a sick child, and when I was an infant, before elder died, and out of the exposure to a great magnitude of going to see the doctor, as I'm talking about as a baby, months and a year and 2 years and 3 years and 4 years. I can remember and vividly, going up and down and coming out of that. I can clearly remember that as long as I can remember of having any thought, the two things I wanted to become was a doctor and a Rastafari.
Mm-hmm.
But I always felt like I would have become a Rastafari when I have everything that I actually wanted, like my land, my car, my house, my innocence, because at that point in time, He was someone that was actually looked down upon. So even in my coming up, I remember before going to university, I did go to Cuba, and I went to the American University, went to the College of Medicine. And I didn't go to just one medical school. I was exposed to different systems of medicine. I'm talking about university, right? And I remember when I just put on my dreadlocks, I was about 18 years, and my mother told me that if she knew that I would have put on dreadlocks, she would have even created me. And that was like I cried, and then I went into my grandmother and sat on her, and put my head on her lap, and she told me it's okay. And then she explained to me that what my mother said was out of a purity of love, because at that point in time, the Rastafari man, when you put on a lock on your head and you have potential, you be a target to the police. You might be killed on the street. You want people to get a job. You want people to go into different institutions and study. It was like a child at that point in time in St. Lucia. And in having a Rastafari in the family was like a disgrace. And I must say that individually as a person, in that moment I was traumatized. But being the kind of man I was, I immediately bounced back and said, well, I'm going to become 10 times what any other man can become, just being a Rastafari. So it made me to love my mother even more, and even overstand the degree of love, and it didn't make me hate her. And I had a deeper overstanding of exactly, what a mother's love to us, not the overstand my love. So I took it thanks again, but the main purpose of our mission as a youth man in the movement, even if right now I'm 43 years, but I consider myself a youth, and I watched over the years in St. Lucia, and growing up, I witnessed police passing down with loads of cannabis, marijuana, and sometimes a dead Rasta man in the back of the van, and literally, and police throwing down the ganja and then just throwing down the lifeless body of the Rasta man that they met on the field and they shot. I witnessed these things. I growing up, this was a story that we heard, and I was born in the year 1977, which is the year when the 257 crash, and when one Jimmy was really well aware that I know of that story intimately. So as a youth, I was always like, when I think of the atrocities that were perpetrated against the Rastafari man and woman, and even in sense, when I stood up to speak, I was there in the whole aspect of the liberation struggle. I told myself that it would be impossible, virtually impossible, for us to even begin to have any conversation with any other colonial master before we actually inquire and are told, come together as a people, and admit to the atrocities and actually ask for forgiveness. And as a family of black people, how and make up, so at least you could move forward and say, yes, man, we take things that the Rasta man, he was killed, his hair was, his locks was actually chopped with cutlass. In Dominica, you had the Dread Act, whereby man was just shot on sight, and whole families were shot in the morning, man, woman, and children, and would have even buried it. So, beloved, out of that, I always, in all my studies, in everything I did, that was in the forefront of my cerebral cortex, my brain, and I always wanted one day to be able to do something in memory of the ancestors, our elders, that live in us right now, and to make sure that we get a justice.
Very good. The reciprocity. Beautiful. Well said, my brother. I give thanks. And you mentioned Dominica. So for many of our listeners, we're talking about the Commonwealth of Dominica, not the Dominican Republic, the place that is next door to Haiti. We're talking Dominica in the Caribbean. These are one of the islands there that it's pretty near to St. Lucia. It's near to Martinique, near to Guadeloupe, and those islands in the Eastern Caribbean. And you hear Priest Kalish there mentioned the Dread Act. That's an act whereby the Dominica government gave permission by law to not just the police, but to citizens that could shoot anyone that they call a dread. And anyone with dreadlocks will call a dread. They could shoot anyone on sight. Him don't have to be picking your mango. Him don't have to sell you nothing. Him don't have to look for you. The Dread Act permit is one of the most wickedest pieces of legislation to have ever been drawn up by a parliament in any part of the world, where you give people permission to shoot a brand once him call himself Rasta. That was the brutality of Dominica, which the brothers have mentioned. Right. Now I give thanks because I know Ras Wayne is a man who his brain works, always work. I know that. You know, even when he's relaxing, his brain is working. And so when I hear talk now of preparation for the 130th anniversary and the 13th aspect of things of their majesties trod upon this earth, and when we think about that, we just last week, Friday, we finished the 129th honoring, and I hear talk now of the 130th coming up, I feel excited. I feel enriched. So I said, I know that you all can tell us some of the plans that yourself and Ras Wayne is putting together and is working on immediately to make the 130th bigger than the 129th, but above all, make it a regeneration of the Rastafari spirit and power. And to say to the world, Coral Gardens, the Dread Act, Mount Jimmy, raid in St. Lucia, the raid in Wadadli and Antigua and places where Rastafari rise up will not happen again. And that, I think, is the core of the planning towards the 130th ascension upon this earth of our Heavenly Father. Tell me more about it.
Well, we can't find out where there are some specific ways that we as Rastafari people would be enfranchised. That's why everything that we had to accomplish, we had to actually work 10 times harder.
Yes.
You know, so we would be enfranchised with education. Many of the Rastafari children could have attended school, even at direct day. I mean, people with dreadlocks, even if they are not Rastafari, even as well recently in Jamaica and in Ghana, you know, you hear that people are still being discriminated against and their fundamental human rights violated even at direct day. And Rastafari was the first set of people who actually went for that for the healthcare system who was disenfranchised. You know, you go to the hospital as a Rastafari, most times you never come back. You know, and then even now with the whole COVID and the vaccine and then our rights and how it is that we as a people, I am not a man as a scientist that is actually opposing to science and technology, you know. Of course, I would have loved to have a young set of dynamic, you know, Rastafari who would be able to actually replace the heart valve, right? But coming from the intention that of peace and love that Rastafari actually proclaim and preach and live, coming out of the great understanding that the purpose of our education, what we are learning, is basically for the upliftment and for the betterment of mankind. But as you said in your introduction, that some nations, the white world, actually invest billions in creating weapons of mass destruction. So 1/10 of that finance placed in the hands of the Rastafari for technological advancement and the study of the higher sciences would actually lead to a world that is actually, overflowing with beauty and, everyday life. We talk about science, of course, we have the capacity to actually rejuvenate a whole physical structure, not just through the science of herbs, you know, but through the higher levels of science. In the level nanotechnology is an aspect of things we have to do, of course, with nanotechnology. But our objective, the root of how and why we do it as Rastafari is not for profit, but basically for the upliftment of humanity to really But we're going to when it gets to fix it because of people like yourself, you know, that honorable, and it's going to actually help us to navigate the legal realms of things if it actually comes to that. But as a truth, as an act, as such, every single one of us has a Rastafari in our family. And every single one of us have heard a story of a Rastaman who was unjust, just shot in the belly and just died. You know, the George Floyd of the Black Lives Matter movement, with a Rastaman and them, that no one actually protested and marched against. So the 130th celebration is then the 12 months coming now is the 12 months where we are going to focus our energies to narrate to the people, tell the people what has happened to the Rastaman. Because when I speak on my social media platform, nobody knows of the Dread Act. Nobody knows that Dominica had a law, the Commonwealth of Dominica, that is about just a couple of miles from St. Lucia, had an act that people could just shoot a Rastaman or a Dread man whenever they saw them. Nobody knows that. So we want to let the world know what we went through. And what will happen is that we want to recompense, just recompense, so to help us to project ourselves for the 60 years they have robbed us. So they have to give us 60 years unmolested and just necessarily say, give the black man 60 years unmolested, will be able to build an empire greater than the one that you spoke about in Kenya. So definitely it would actually culminate in St. Lucia, you know, with 21 nights of secret Naya Bindi, which is the spiritual warfare of the Rastafari. So sometimes you read in the Bible of when they actually brought down the walls of Jericho by playing music. You know, and we know that specifically the drum song is what we call the 8-4 song. You know, the natural sound. You know, the natural ancient reason. That's why the original ancient Bingi man don't even listen to any kind of synthetic song except drum song communication. So definitely we will be having a 21 day and 21 nights of secret Naya Bingi, whereby we're chanting for justice and healing, specifically bringing folks the healing, you know, the justice would bring healing. And if it is that, you know that, you know, sometimes as we read, you know, of most, or as we say, Moses, and the Pharaoh's heart was hard and he refused to actually listen to the needs of our people. I am quite positive that within our ranks of Rastafari, we do have the intellectual capacity, the academic forte. We do have everything that we need to challenge any system of people academically and intellectually to get our rights. But we don't need to go through that. And if we have to go through that, then we go through that. And then we are still able to actually go to the highest spiritual realm, to the 21 nights of Maya, whereby this would be a beginning whereby all people who believe in justice and peace and love, you know, it's not about we only talking about the Rasta, the man is the love, you know. We are talking because the Rastafari is the representative of the man that was actually downtrodden, spat upon, literally, spat upon. Justice would not stop on the road for a Rasta man. You know, so if you are a Rasta man and you have to learn to walk, so you walk miles while other people sit down on the bus. So I'm saying that people who understanding that people who have a heart of peace and love and are just anyone, you don't have to have a dreadlock. So these people also, we are welcome to stand in solidarity and sing songs of redemption on a 1-2 heart rhythm. You know, and that heart rhythm is what will actually bring us into a one divine unity. And that heart rhythm is what that will change our so-called two-stranded DNA into 9 strands and, you know, and even 12 strands, and make us into new beings that we could manifest the right that we're supposed to actually manifest as a people. So, honorable is going to be wonderful in St. Lucia. You know, and we are
this 21 day would start on what date?
July the 3rd.
July the 3rd.
Yes, my Lord.
Okay. That's 2022.
2022, so we are a year in planning. It's 2022, and it's not just a war of the year, it's a one Rastafari thing we have. You know, so it's all one that is invited to come together and talking about black people as well. I don't even call people black people. You know, I'm calling about all people of African descent, everybody of every race, and creed, you know, because it is not something that the state of the world affairs, as His Majesty is the Prince of Peace, I mean, a tribal state. So we now as Rastafari, we are coming together with humanity to be able to actually effect a positive change, to create a shift in the direction of the world. And some people might believe that the Rastaman just talking and seeing the bad man and things that what he said before. But every single thing that the Rastaman said before is manifested. Rastaman is the idol, or everybody says bigger. Cannabis is now decriminalized or legalized. Rastafari used to say ecologically sustainable living, everybody carbon footprint. Rastafari used to talk about the healthy living, and stop burning gas and stop all these things. And every world is actually following what the
Definitely. Rastaman said don't pollute the rivers and all these things and so on. And now we see all of them, they give it fancy name like climate change and all. Rastaman was simply saying, eat the natural things, don't use no Roundup, no chemical in the land and all these things. They are now realizing, and some countries are banning some of these things. My brother, brilliant hearing you. Brother Wayne Rose? Yeah, man. Yes, Priest Claylash was very fluent, very articulate in directing us as to where this is going. I'm certain you would have some things to add.
Yes, I almost need I say more. And that is the level of articulation that is going to come in the public sphere.
Yes.
2-year program meant for our own design, because we're going to set up that strategic media
Yes.
outlet. Yes. We're going to distill the story. Because goodness is still in the world, Brother Miguel.
Of course. As long as my father lived, there's that hand of kindness and goodness forever. Yes.
Yeah. But we have to get the people focused on the things that are important to their own existence.
Yes.
And you cannot call for justice without acknowledging your own beam, the beam in your eye. So we have governments who are perhaps well-meaning, but it's nearly hypocritical. Dare I say, hypocritical for you to engage the language of reparation without first repairing the breach of your own family.
Brilliant. Well, my brother, that sounds like Jamaica.
They're good actions, my brother.
Jamaica, yes.
But you can't imagine say people love to see a baby at 5 before he creeps and walk. You must first creep and walk.
Yes.
And the creeping is addressing the elephant in the room of our communities. The man who gave you cultural supremacy in the world, a recognition in the name, you still undermine this man. Our people need to recognize what it means when you say Rastafari in the world. It brings an identity to our people. It represents a prestige. And yet our very own have not reconciled with us. And are pretentious enough to come among us and talk about resources and reparation. We love our people.
Yes.
We always love our people. Our very mantra is peace and love. But what was missing from that mantra, Brother Miguel, is justice. We speak around peace and love and leave out the increment that brings peace and love, which is justice. Go near us. We're playing games with ourselves. And we be pretentious now. Yeah, man, Rasta, man, it's cool in a Rasta, peace and love in a Rasta, good people. Yet you deny the good man is right. His right of self-determination, even though you're still basking in his own work, you're benefiting from his own legacy. You have a name and an identity. Come on, be fair.
Yes.
Be righteous.
Yes.
Politicians wasting, squandering money upon monies, and you look at the Coral Garden families, and you almost between your feet with what you say you give them. You call it justice. Justice for the massacre of people, for the murder of people, creating a legacy of hatred in even families so that they deny their very own.
Mm-hmm.
And his very own stands as the stone that was refused by the builders. The chief cornerstone, Brother Miguel.
Yeah, well, anybody who build know what it's like when you reach a level where you don't have no more stone and you reach for that stone. It becomes the most important stone in the building. Yes.
Of course. This is what we're saying, what the Honorable Priest talk about. When we're calling for this, we're calling not just the Rastaman, but the Rastaman first, because we're chief among men. In fact, we're not men, we are man.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Yes?
mm-hmm.
We are the man created.
Yes.
Created he, them, male and female. It's I and I.
Mm-hmm.
And the people know this, that's why they talk about if we slip and say, well, yeah, no, Rastaman. Because they know the standard that I and I represent. Let us be fair, honest, and just. Let us be just. Our people need to be just. So this is a distillation that will take place over the next 12 months, Brother Miguel. We will bring it in media, in print form too, in social media, but bring it within the legal constructions too. Because we are serious about this.
Absolutely.
Because remember, it's only two roads being each before you.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's either justice or judgment.
All right. Justice or judgment. Just to bring our listeners, those who just join in, we're speaking with Raswayne Rose and Priest Kailash. They are sojourning in St. Lucia. That's where there is Mount Kailash, where the brothers have. In fact, they have a how would you describe it, Wayne Rose? That which is there now,
It's a rejuvenation center.
a rejuvenation center.
For the spirit, soul, and body.
Yes.
To tension everything in a real natural space. You can hear perhaps in the foreground with the sound of nature itself.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And then there is a process, a scientific process.
Mm-hmm.
There's a physical process that allows you to emerge and grow.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Very good.
And the priest has these things constructed, created, and is offering these things within a human frame of goodness.
Very good. Very good. So,
Our people need this, and this needs to be replicated across our humanity, indeed, especially the black world.
yes.
You know, so we need to come see to Brother Miguel what it is that
Yes.
is here.
Yes.
To understand what our possibilities are, but more so, when I really say this with all of iron and natural energy, the love of our people is the love of self.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
To love ourselves and stop being protection. We cannot say we love others and we love ourselves. That is not what the legacy for humanity offers to us. We're no longer lambs on the slaughter for the dead.
No.
The common stand is
Yes.
the character of the conquering lion, but that which knows goodness is about goodness and consistently do good. And the right man. Come on.
Yes. Absolutely.
Distribution will take place. And we're centered here, we're building a nerve center, and we're connecting with the family, those people who are the right ones, the ones necessary for this process to be at the level that we demand of ourselves, the Godship, the rising up of God, and our dear children, rise up, black man, right?
Yes. Arise.
The rising up of God, that's a retreat. We've been invited me kindly.
Mm-hmm.
To participate in Brother Miguel. We're young brothers from across the Americas, including Jamaica, comes right here, came here with the specific objective of building with themselves and understanding of themselves, their humanity, their Godship. I have said you are God. You know, our young brother in America, Islam, came forward from the nation of Islam.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not about religious construction, it's about people who are prepared to stand up and speak truth to power. People who are working in the field of goodness with clarity and with the most is about black men finding themselves and realizing that there is no difference, no differentiation. Yes? We're not separated by religion and by nationality and these things. Those are false constructions.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a mind too.
Yes.
That is innate. It's in our DNA. It's goodness. But we now need to stand up for our own goodness by making our own demands, from our own vernacular, from our own past experience, buried for too long.
Mm-hmm.
By
Mm-hmm.
good people.
Yes.
Who are behaving very badly.
Yes. Yes.
So let us speak true to our family. If you're a good sister, my sister, or my brother, we'll get with $20 billion US, but you only look at the family, the poor guys, back on them.
Yes. Yes. Well,
And you use X amount of money to do all different kinds of political things and personal things sometimes.
yes.
But that's how we deal with the family who gives an identity. Come on,
Yes.
stand up.
That-
Let us speak truth to poor now.
Yes.
Let us stop being pretentious. Rastafari is the high of the eye. So this is why it's Jaja and I.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Justice and healing, or
Mhm.
judgment and a heating of coal. And I have been leadership. That's what it is. So my brother Miguel, we have a lot more talking to do.
Yes, and I will be keeping in touch. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Making contact with the family, the legal mind.
Yes. Yeah, man.
Articulation, the being in the public sphere and speaking to the students, engaging in public discourses like yours.
Yes.
To say to the family, talk to us. If you really don't know, here's what the truth is.
Yes.
And then what do we do then? Because we have done it right so far. But Miguel, what our priest said earlier is so precise, We have done it right so far.
Mm-hmm.
He said herb is for the healing of the nation.
Yes.
Everyone is now recognizing it. You call it medical marijuana. Right?
Yes. Yes.
He said, be green.
Yes. Yes.
The flesh and the blood and these things and balance itself in humanity. And everyone now is running up and down instead of going to gym. And some people going to jail. But nonetheless, my brother Miguel.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
We have done it right so far. You're the beloved priest talk about carbon footprint over the dog. Where we always talk about just love humanity, take care of the thing.
Yes.
Don't pollute. We've been saying this for a long time.
True.
And it's right all along. What more should we do?
And the Creator giving us.
Showing the model.
Yes.
Leading through the model that we've established. Because we know the scientists. We have the educators. We have the political mind that can say make righteous decisions for the people. We have all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And so while we're not advocating changing people's government, we're saying Rastafari wants to show you through our own space how you can govern yourself and a people righteously.
Absolutely. Definitely. Definitely, Raswi. And I'm really glad for this reasoning. I'm really glad for this talk. And for all those who are listening, yes, this is a start as we build up, as we all are coming together to build up for the 130th year. And along the way, like the brothers have said, along the way now, we will be demanding justice. We'll be demanding justice and healing. And if you don't get justice, then it will be judgment. So all the disrespect that have been shown to Rastafari in Jamaica, in the other Caribbean islands and so in North America and so forth, yes, we are saying it's about time that people, you can't repair if you don't acknowledge you're wrong. You can't tell apology if you're going to do it again, or if you're not sorry, or if you're not showing any form of penitent. You must show those things. You must show that you regret, you're sorry. You have to show it. You can't just say it. And then when we pass all of those hurdles now, then we can start to talk about what is needed for repairing now. What is it for repairing? Is it that all those children who were deprived of going to school because of them dreadlocks, are they now demanding a school for themselves? Or are they demanding something to show that you are penitent and sorry for those years that you deprived those children of an education? All these things must come out in the open. Then we start the conversation and we can move towards the justice that is demanded by the people who has given you an identity and a culture. Give thanks, my brother, and we will certainly continue on a regular basis as we speak more and more. And we give thanks as you know, like I said, wherever you are, I know your brain is working, and we always want to get some of that medicine from that brain which the Creator has bestowed upon you.
We give thanks to the great life giver and the vessel uses to make things possible, which is I and I, Rastafari, one perfect love.
Give thanks. Yes.
Oh my God, it's honorable for the movement, you know, and definitely love peace and love to your listeners, you know, and specifically the most difficult thing is, you know, being one step, you know, and as the Emperor said, I've been studying some gardening of yoga. Even in the 21st century, you know, faith, courage, and a just cause, you know, taking root in Google life, you know, so it's not like that this is something that has not been shown before. What we are doing is just walking in the footsteps of Imperial Majesty, you know, whereby, remember when the Italians came and bombed the country and all the different things, the Emperor did forgive them and asked them to understand it and to stay.
Yeah.
Rastafari actually follows that type of principles of love, you know.
Yes.
So we just say the people definitely that, and now is the time, and as long as we say self-love is the best love, and the only reason why we are dying, even if all the diabetes, high blood pressure, prostate cancer, breast cancer, even the COVID that we have right now, you know, it's because we refuse to look inward and see what we have available for the upliftment of ourselves. Because everything we need, my Lord, we have to keep down to present.
Beautiful, beautiful. My brothers, I thank you both, and we'll certainly be keeping in touch. And we thanks for the work that's going on. And this is what you're doing is a just and worthy cause that will benefit the nation of Rastafari. Give thanks, sire. One love, one listen. Every time. Blessings. Nice, nice. Yes. Yes, for those who just join in, yes, the program Bitter Sugar, Brother Miguel Lorne here, and we have Brother Donovan Ogilvie with us. We had
Greetings.
3 little sisters that were here. They live in the community, and sometimes they come and sit in the radio station with us. And oh yes, a blessing to have them. And I guess they must be on holidays now and so on. So forth. They have since now disappeared, but we're glad to have them in the first place. I don't remember the names. I know the names because they have spoken on the program before. Yes, but I was waiting for them to speak this evening, but I was waiting until the interview with the brothers in St. Lucia finished. But they have since disappeared. I don't have to go and come back. And we'll take it from there. Yes, Brother Donovan, you want to bring any greetings or say anything?
Well, I want to say greetings to everyone. I hope everyone has been taking good care of themselves under the circumstances. You know, it's that the intensity of the situation is getting so dramatic, you know. You see it everywhere. So just that everybody just need to be aware, take care of yourself, be aware that they are the Delta and what's the other 2 strands?
No, me just call all of them Corona because all of this thing about different strains and different, them guys that know, you know, it's them guys that put it on the earth, you know. So they know exactly what them put on the earth.
Right.
You understand?
They know when,
Yes.
how, where, and all these sort of things.
And I want our listeners to see, there was a time when this station was banned because they felt that we were, or some of the presenters here were challenging the whole system of the vaccine and so on. But you see, what has happened now?
Yes.
What has happened now is that even in America, people who are vaccinated, they are now telling them that they must wear masks and practice social distancing, even persons who have had 2 doses of the vaccine.
Yes.
So, brothers and sisters, something is wrong down the road somehow. I want to recognize Cheyenne McFarlane. Yes. Cheyenne says, remember the people them that live up in the cold. They drink animal blood for tea, such as wolf and bear. They only know how to kill to survive. Sean McFarlane, when he mentioned the 63% rise up. Yes, people are accustomed to those type of things. How do we end up following them? Come on now, people. Wake up now. Wake up.
So all these things are impacting on us and the society as a whole. With the latest development. I mean, it's very draconian, very unfavorable too. And I think I'm okay as I am. I wasn't at the epicenter, but the pandemic of this crisis reaches here. And before March 2020, I'm sure I didn't have it, my family didn't have it, nobody here had anything like Corona, aka COVID-19. But it and its family are here. And half the story hasn't been told yet. So based on what's going on, I'm just saying to everyone, be still, man, and know that you live. All right?
Every time. Give thanks. Give thanks.
So there's an interval and play the break again.
Yeah.
And let's repeat the touch after this.
Huh?
Rastafari is.
After that. Yes.
There's 2 things over here doing.
Huh?
Level number 15 over here.
I know. So that one first, and then we just go to that one after.
Fast FM 100 on your dial. Keep listening.
See over our face bruise up? Them people just because I said they're tired.
I'm only 13, but I said if I work harder, they will make me go back home.
Me not have no birth paper nor the ID. Them have all of my documents then. Forced labor is one of the many forms of human trafficking. Report suspected cases of human trafficking. Call the nearest police station, 119 or 888 PROTECT. A message from the Ministry of National Security.
It's good, it's better, but nothing beats. That's better.
Lords of Lords and the Savior. Lords of Lords and the Savior. Lords of Lords and the Savior. Lords of Lords and Savior. He's the mighty, mighty one. Thundered one. Yes, he is Lords of Lords and the Savior. Lords of Lords and the Savior. Lords of Lords and the Savior. Lords of Lords and Savior. Yes, He is Lord of Lords and Savior. 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 Rastafari, Rastafari, yes, He is Lord of Lords and Savior. 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 Yes, He is Lord of Lords and Savior. 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 Worship Him. Give it a praise. Praise Him. Cause He is Lord of Lords and Savior. 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 Lords 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 of Lords and Savior.
Live the life. Respect the music. And keep your radio locked in.
The best 100 FM.
I don't know if many of you remember the man Cedric I. M. Brooks.
Yes.
Yes, Here is he with this great song, Ethiopia.
Yes, sir.
Ready? She's on the line? All right. Let's take a little now. Oh, melodious, beautiful. Cedric Brooks, man. We can't forget the brother, and we honor the brother. Ethiopia. Give thanks. Greetings and blessings, Mama Desta. Give thanks, give thanks. Glad to have you on the line. We had yourself and Priest Doggy on the line last week talking about the plans to launch a very, very important document. And that launch took place on Friday, the 23rd of July, on the birth date of His Imperial Majesty. And in my humble view, it was such a brilliant launch that I had to ask you all to speak to us again on it, and to let our listeners know what are the plans forward, what are some of the early benefits that we have even seen since that document has been launched.
Absolutely. First of all, again, give thanks for your participation in the early stages of the drafting committee, and then in the help of promotion and reading of the preamble, Yes. I'm hoping Jadogis will join us, but nonetheless, I am thrilled to be answering as a team because it was so much work, intense, exhaustive, detailed work, but work every moment of it to ensure that we could develop this instrument, which again has had compelling response and immediate use. We've always looked at it as an instrument, as a tool, and already we've been contacted by specifically two individuals, one in the US and one in the UK, regarding how this document can be used in a potential case regarding a decision of a firm to mandate COVID vaccinations, and these particular individuals do not adhere to that. They adhere to the traditional indigenous way of treating ourselves, both prevention and cure. So the clause, Article 2, that deals with social health and so forth, will be able to address that. And this is really a burning issue right now. And so what this declaration will do, it's not just say whether we're against vaccine or for vaccine, but it clearly states what is our methodology. What do we hold near and dear in terms of how we deal with our body, our structure, our body, when it comes to health, hygiene, etc. So already we're seeing it. So we're very happy that we'll be able to, our timeline is to do the final presentation on August 17th, because July 31st is the last day for submissions of the amendment. And we've actually had about 7 requests for the declaration and amendment in several of the languages. As you know, we did English, Amharic, Spanish, French, Kiswahili, and Zulu. The Zulu wasn't quite complete, but nonetheless will be available. So, long story short, as they say, as of August 1st, the team will meet again, review all the amendments, and then present just a final document on the birthday of Marcus Rosaya.
Absolutely beautiful. So, want our listeners to understand now. How can persons view the document? Because you can't make suggestion to amend or to add or so on unless you have an idea what is in the document. Not so?
Absolutely, and so it's been widely publicized both on the day of the launching,
yes,
and subsequently on the Facebook page and other social media platforms, that one should send their request through email madebyafricans@yahoo.com, and we will go ahead and send them in the language of their desire, as well as the amendment form. So that has been widely announced again to the over 80 viewers that were on the Zoom call, and now over 800 who have actually viewed the video on Facebook. And you know, in our community, as many as we are, the word of mouth is already passed, and again, we're already beginning to amendment form.
So you're saying persons can view it on what page?
They can request it at madebyafricans@yahoo.com.
Slowly, yes, go slowly. All right, go slowly. Made by Africans, yes, made by Africans. At Yahoo. Beautiful. So those listening, that is how you can view this brilliant document. And then now, though the document has been launched, and this is a very good strategy. It has been launched, but nevertheless, all the brothers and sisters are saying, look, we will still give persons an opportunity to add something, to correct anything, to put in something, to make suggestions, and that will be welcome up until the 31st of July. Not a long time from now, that you can look at the document, you look at madebyafricans@yahoo.com, you read the document thoroughly. It's a very important document. And then now if there's something that you think should be added or something, it's a serious document, and it's a fairly comprehensive document. So you might actually be making suggestion of something which is already in the document. So you need to look at it and understand it and see the plot of the document, the theme of the document, the path that the document has taken. So that's whatever you're suggesting has to fit into that. And so.
And the intent, just Miguel.
Yes.
We can't leave out the intent, because the intent is what shapes the totality of the document. You know, our intent, if we intended it just, I don't think we celebrate, for instance, Rastafari, the celebration. Then it may take on another turn. But clearly, the intent is to be clear about the policy, who we are, what do we stand for, what are the important principles, from whence did we came, and why are we here, what are our aspirations yet to be fulfilled. I did want to mention one thing. There's a question that has come up repeatedly, because we speak in the early part of the preamble about the founding fathers.
Yes.
And we've had several reality, the research that we have done from the 1930s, 40s, and 50s, early 50s particularly, we have not found founding mothers per se. And if we look at where the movement was in that particular time, the way the brethren were treading, celibate, and much like the Bahatawi or the Sadhu, there weren't women around who were founders shaping the ethos and the philosophies of the movement. With that said, anyone has any additional information, as to a founding mother, again, Pinnacle, we've known as Sister Gertrude, and other names have been mentioned, but we really want to substantiate when we say founding mothers. So we're seeking that information and hoping that those who are insisting we put founding mothers and founding fathers can assist us in that, but not been able to find any research to substantiate founding mothers in the early 30s or 40s at this point.
All right, beautiful, well said. Sister Dissa, you want to read, even highlight just even about 3 passages from this important document that our listeners can follow, and get intrigued by?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Of course, we started with one of His Majesty's speeches, which I think the first sentence was some of who we are and what we're following, And
Yes.
His Majesty said in 1963 speech at the OAU, so it is indeed a momentous and historic day for Africa and for all Africans. We stand today on the stage of world affairs before the audience of world opinion. We come together to assert our role in the direction of world affairs and to discharge our duty. And so that sets the tone for who we are and what we're here to do. And then we go on into the preamble where we read from the very beginning, we Rastafari is the contemporary manifestation of ancient civilization, emerging from the Rift Valley region, carrying high forms of traditional and sacred knowledge through the Nile, which unveils the majestic glory of the Creator within I and I. A subsequent spring to Rastafari cosmology, which recognized the height of our humanity before Western presence, and whereas Africans endured brutal and inhumane trials and treatment at the hands of European powers and their cohorts for centuries, beginning with the worst crime against humanity, the transatlantic slave trade, depleting the continent's population while wreaking havoc on our heritage, culture, and spirituality. And whereas the visionary founding fathers, as I mentioned, this is something we want to get completely right, whereas the visionary founding fathers of the Rastafari movement were down-pressed brothers of integrity with limited resources, basic education, unlimited faith, fearless advocates for equal rights and justice, regularly imprisoned, detained in asylums, endured loss of life and livelihood, enduring other forms of persecution for declaring an African spiritual, physical, historic, and government within government identity.
And we should point out that the way you have, so brothers and sisters, the speech of His Majesty starts off the document, that great and outstanding speech made at the launching of the OAU in 1963, and then you go into a preamble to the document, and as you hear Sister Desta just read, the document we started from before Africa was invaded, to show that this ancient spirituality, which we are manifesting now, has been bequeathed unto us thousands of years ago, yes, and yes, and so on. So, and that is some of what.
If I may, I previously, Miguel.
You certainly.
I think these two parts of the preamble are also very, very important because they do address what keeps coming up. And again, as a mother, as a woman, we ensure that the female energy. So although we have not been able to substantiate founding mothers, we do put in the preamble, whereas Rastafari people of African ancestry reaffirm their faith, their essential human rights, the equality of man and woman as exemplified by His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie I, and Her Imperial Majesty, Empress Menen Atau, the value of each Rastafarian mansion, organization, elder, youth, and individual committed to addressing the urgent cultural, social, political, economic, and ideological issues facing Rastafarian liberty in the 21st century, emphasizing and asserting Rastafari's original goal of a return to I&I roots, the ultimate goal of ensuring Rastafari culture is protected, promoted, and preserved for posterity. And then we close before the preamble, before the articles begin, with that African Rastafari worldwide proclaim this declaration a collective standard of I&I works and aspirations by and for Rastafari's best interest and protection, declaring that what is good for Rastafari is good for Africa, what is good for Africa is good for the world.
Very much so.
Again, this is a synopsis, and I thank you for allowing me to stay some time to read this. So sorry, please don't be could not join right now. But this again, was heavily. He had a heavy hand in it because he has just released this book, Rastafari in the 21st Century, and had just completed a good amount of research in detail research, which is actually in the book. So we were able to make sure we substantiate the things that were mentioned in this document.
Very, very good, and so on. You want to give another passage there coming down, because we want our listeners and
individual and every organ of society has to recognize this declaration, which through the pursuit of education, promotion, and respect of these rights and freedoms, advance to positive action, policies and laws, national and international, in order to secure Rastafari universal posterity, effective recognition, and regard amongst the people and governments of Africa and the world. And then we go right into only 6 articles, because this could have been a certain longer document with more detail. As a jurist, you also know that when you put in the scope of your document, and therefore you eliminate, because when you start to identify specific things too much, then the question becomes, well, if other things are not identified, then
why not?
They not count.
Yes.
So when we general terms to look at atrocities in general, against Rastafari from the inception of the movement until now, it does cover everything, whether we're talking about destruction of pinnacles, like a wall, coral gardens, even Dominica, the Dread Arc, and so forth.
Yes.
It does allow you to have more room then to challenge anything that comes up,
Yes.
And so the article consists of one, the ideology, that just really addresses the principles that guide the movement, the spiritual, and then we go into the second, which is the social health and education, and this is going to be a very hot and current one. And so, for instance, we speak about Rastafari practices and partake in traditional healing through the use of indigenous knowledge of herbs, roots, and plants provided by nature, including ganja, defined as the healing of the nation. And so, why this is going to be very, very important at this time, especially with potential test coming in, is it's not just about saying we abstain those with COVID vaccine as a concern. It's to say that we have our own alternative of addressing this. So while general society practitioners may have chosen the vaccine as the only route. We're here to say and exercise based on our knowledge base, our indigenous knowledge base, that we have our own solution and are participating in a responsible way for through the use of the indigenous knowledge. So this is where the article is very, very important. Article 3 addresses Rastafari advocacy and government engagement. And so again, you ask Miguel, who have been very active, for decades with the Marcus Garvey party and so many know that, they're just saying in the diplomatic work, you're not that savior on the menu. And so we want to be at the table and discussing, not having others at the table. In fact, another case that has just come up in Ethiopia, the question of who actually should be receiving the residency cards that were issued over the last 2 years to mostly undocumented Rapis who have been living in Ethiopia several decades, not able to move from Shashaman. So I was summoned with Chris Paul and Brother Moody with EWS to draft a policy paper for the government on how the reintegration and recognition would. And so while that hinged to the fact that we are returning in exile in Babylon and returning home based on being taken away, unfortunately, because of the loose definition of Rastafari and people just turning up and saying, we're Rastafari, and organizations such as GRDC, which has a broader perspective in terms of recognizing all people of the world. We have Europe who have now received this ID, which says foreign national of Ethiopian origin. And so this document will now be proffered to the Ethiopians in the absence of a document that defines and declares. And so what do you all do? The white, people who are adherents to Rastafari? Well, my answer to that is that I'm not qualified nor authorized by any European Rastafari to speak on their behalf and express their aspirations, how they came to Rastafari, desires are, what their goals are. I have no idea. It would be disingenuous and unfair for us as a committee to tackle that because none of us in the committee for that matter have that experience, that exposure, that knowledge base.
Yes.
Number 2,
yes,
as Africans living this experience for over 40 odd years, in my case in Rastafari and others, we understand that our commitment is indeed to Africans first and foremost. Once we sort that out, then and we think everything else will sort of take as a natural progression of equal rights and justice and inclusion, if you will, within context. So this document, we could have never written it as Rasta or whatever. We would have been right. After that, we have no authority to do that on behalf of them. So we can only speak to the Black experience, which is the resistance movement called Rastafari, which was a reaction and a response to, slavery vestiges that came out of colonialism and still to this day exist. So it didn't end with slavery, perpetuated to this day. So we finish off with Article 4, which is Rastafari, the indigenous things like pooling our money partner. In Ethiopia, it's called Ikum.
Ikum. Yes. Ikum. Spell it for us, no?
Ikum.
How you spell it?
I think phonetically it would be like EKU.
Okay. Ikum. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Ikum.
Yes.
But we also speak about modern methods, including microfinance. microfinance, credit union, bank, which also is a modern, we're talking about cryptocurrency and some of the new forms of funding that are on the horizon and actually doing quite well in Africa.
Mhm.
On the side, we talk about Rastafari culture and heritage, and here's where we are to take on things like the intellectual property and the respect and high regard that should be held for those icons that represent and are a big part of the Rastafari culture, the Star of David, the Lion of Judah, and other items which are commodified quite extensively by Europeans and Asians. So that is also addressed. And finally, we address specifically the Nyabingi, Rastafari Nyabingi Foundation, understanding that we're not speaking specifically of the Nyabingi mansion, but the Nyabingi philosophy and way of life that all Rastafari mansions share and hold dear when it comes to our foundation, as epitomized by the use of the drums, the harps. All of us share that. So this document really tried to ensure, all mansions represented on the original committee and then the drafting committee to ensure that we were sensitive to all mansions because it is Rastafari universal declaration, not specific to a mansion.
Very well. Very, 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 very good. Very, very good. Right. Sister Desta, we really want to thank you for illuminating this important declaration, as we call it. And we should point out that at the reasoning on Friday, some brothers even called for a constitution. But we will move to that level at another stage when we are saying we'll certainly need a constitution then. So we want to thank you, Sister Desta. We want to tell our listeners, Sister Desta is a lawyer, and she celebrates her birthday on the 15th of August. We wish you happy. We wish you a happy birthday. She's also a mother, very, very serious mother. She lives in Ethiopia at the moment, and she played an important role, very important role, in bringing the ideas that came up during the drafting of this document. She was able to be the glue that brings it together and give it some sort of homogeneity. So we give thanks, my sister, and we're gonna be keeping in touch. And let those know you can still put ideas. You have until the 31st of July to add to the document. If there's something more.
The email address that they can send the request to.
Yes.
It's made by Africans@yahoo.com. That's MAZEBY Africans AFRICANS@yahoo.com. And the drafting team, my brothers, Priest Dougie, who is the chair, and Jadaniel and Rafiku Tafari, and yours truly there, Raphael Lorne, will be back on it August 1st to do due diligence and address the amendment government to ensure whatever is appropriate is added. So again, give thanks to this humble opportunity.
Thanks a lot, my sister. Blessings and honor. Take care now. One love, Harry. Nice. There you have Sister Desta there. Brilliant, brilliant mind, brilliant sister, brilliant worker who has been given off Rastafari. She's a mother of 10 children.
Wow.
Yes. Yes.
That's interesting.
Hardworking. And she represents us now, not just in Ethiopia, but in almost all of, not just in Shashamane, but all of Africa.
Okay, and continent.
Yes,
That's great. That's great.
And I should point out that Ras Brian Wheeler, and this is somebody that Sister Desta has linked me up with. I spoke to him today, and he will be coming on the program next week. Now, Ras Brian Wheeler, he presently sojourns in Namibia, and I will be speaking to him concerning that whole reparations from Germany to Namibia. We want our listeners understand that Namibia, right there, you see to the southern part of Africa, the southwestern part, you have Angola, and just below Angola there you have Namibia. Right. You have the Republic of South Africa right to the tip. So it borders with Namibia. Botswana also borders with Namibia. And Angola borders with Namibia. So Namibia at one point was colonized by the Germans. And at the turn of the century, somewhere between 1904 to 1908, there was a particular German general named Lothar von Thotha. A wicked and evil man, and worse than Hitler. I tell him, worse than Hitler, who went down to Namibia and murdered without mercy a lot of the Herero people, a lot of the Nama people, and a lot of the San people, S-A-N, San people. And they murdered quite a lot of them brothers and sisters because they resisted, because they tried to protect their land, they tried to protect their cows, their animals, and all of that. And this brother, with the other German forces, murdered a lot of them. So since 1904 until now, the people of Herero and the San people and the Nama people, they have been agitating for reparations. Now, recently, this year, the Germans have agreed with the Namibian government to make some payments in reparations. But the government of Namibia did not consult the Herero people, nor the San people, nor the Nama people, the people who suffered. So they said, no, you can't do that. You can't just go ahead and do things like that, all of that.
That's the government.
Yeah, the people, the leadership, leadership of the Herero people, the San people, and the Nama people, involving us. We must be at the table also. And the Germans have put it as developmental aid. So them said, no, you can't. Things don't do like that. So they are rejecting what the government has agreed to. So I want to go in detail. So I will be speaking with Ras Brian Wheeler, who presently lives in Namibia. And he has agreed to come on the program next week. So you have to remember, Namibia is 7 hours ahead of us. So when it's 5 o'clock here, it's 12 o'clock there. So when it's 9 o'clock here, it's we up in the morning there. But he has agreed to speak with us and to provide us with as much help in understanding that whole situation. So make sure you join us next week as you speak about Brother Robert Wheeler. I also want to mention that today, the 28th of July, between the 28th of July to the 30th of July, 1971, that was when the Court of Appeal in Jamaica dealt with the Jabbok case from the 28th to the 30th. That's Jabbok, that's Brother Hines, and that the court ruled that he was right. To remind you what happened, Jabbok.
Jabbok is a pilot?
No, the pilot. Jabbok now, way back in 1971, where the case actually started from 1969, and Jabbok was charged, along with others, for malicious destruction of property that alleged that they've stolen in a Jewish bus. Jabbok made it clear that he did not finger stolen in a Jewish bus. He did not participate in nothing like that. Nevertheless, he was brought before the court, the Supreme Court. When the time came for him to give evidence, and this is Jabbok, You know him, live out there in Harbour View, and so one of our great writers, great thinkers, and so forth. And when time came for him to give evidence, he decided that he would swear by Almighty Jah Rastafari. The judge refused to allow him to swear by that which is binding on his conscience, which is permitted by law. And the judge refused it, and he said, look, I'm not giving no evidence then. His faith, because he went into the order of Melchizedek from the ancient times unto this time, and that I man stand dreadlocks Rastafari. It was a beautiful rendition. That he, I should say, a beautiful lesson that he gave the judge that day, and so on. So he did not give evidence. The judge found him guilty. The jury found him guilty, and but he appealed the case, and his appeal was heard the 28th, 29th, and 30th, 1971, and he won the case. All this time he was in custody still, the judge locked him up. At one point, the judge even locked him up and asked that he be taken to Bellevue. So this is what Priest Kalish is talking about when you hear him mention earlier on of the atrocities done to I and I. And Priest Kalish is a brilliant doctor, brilliant doctor. Yes, here is a man, and because the man stand up and says, I am from the order of Melchizedek, who has no mother or no father, who has no beginning and no ending, and I stand in the name of Haile Selassie, the judge ordered that he be taken to Bellevue for psych. Ordered that he be taken to Bellevue for psychiatric treatment. Those were the indignity he and I, brothers and sisters. But they took him to Bellevue. They tested him. All this time they kept him in custody. You know, you lock him up. You ask him and order that he be taken to Bellevue. He was taken there. He was locked up and did all sort of assessment, certified to be sensible, intelligent, and the certification was sent back to the court. But despite that, you know, he ended up being found guilty and ordered to down to GP where to start serving his sentence. So his victory came between the 28th, 29th, and 30th of July. We are today the 28th. So we are in fact celebrating with Jabuk this great and momentous victory. 50 years now. 50 years now. And the brother still strong. Stand strong. And we salute you, my brother. Because you never bow, you never beg, and you never weep.
Order of Melchizedek.
Yeah, oh Lord, tell the judge all them things. Yeah, I can't read a part there, you know, but I can read a little part there. You were your book to the judge. Him say, I swear by Almighty God, King Rastafari. Now, as he and members of that faith regarded and worshipped the Emperor of Ethiopia, Rastafari, Haile Selassie. So he says, no, this is what the book says. The true and living God sits on the throne of David. And said members of, you see, what happened is there are parts where they quote Jabuk, and there are parts where the whoever is giving a summary of the case put in their words. I want to read just Jabuk words. I just want to read his words. Who sits on the throne of David. And then he says that all the believe that Haile Selassie is the living God, the returned Messiah, and representative on earth of God the Father. I want to read a part about Melchizedek and all of that. But he gave the judge a lesson in theology.
Yes.
He gave the judge a serious lesson in theology. And not just the judge, but also the prosecutor. The prosecutor who was Seymour Panton, who later on became a judge and a president of the Court of Appeal. But Jabuk gave him a lesson in theology because he put forth some very, very stupid idea. and so on. I want to read that part where he went into that history of Melchizedek. All right, it's taking me a little while.
Yeah.
But we give thanks, and but you all can read the decision, you know. It's on the Court of Appeal website. You look under the name of R meaning Regina, R versus Hines and King. Yes. And it's cited at, I can tell you the citation, because every Rastaman should have a copy. 1971, 12 JLR. JLR means Jamaica Law Reports. 1971, 12 Jamaica Law Reports at page 545. So you all can read up on it and so on. We give thanks. As we move forward now, truths and rights.
Here's some one.
Best FM 100 on your dial. Keep listening.
See you over at face bruise up? Them beat me just because I said I'm tired.
I'm only 13, but I said if I work harder, they will make me go back home.
Me not have no birth paper nor no ID. Them have all of my documents there. Forced labor is one of the many forms of human trafficking. Report suspected cases of human trafficking. Call the nearest police station, 119 or 888 PROTECT. A message from the Ministry of National Security.
It's good. It's better. But nothing beats.
Render your heart and not your garment. The truth is there for who have eyes to see. Partiality has no place in this judgment. Remember the words of prophecy. Children run, come to truth and lies. That's what I'm about. You know the truth and right. Teach it to the children.
Johnny Osborne, Truths and Rights.
Should know, no. Children say a little prayer every night before you go to sleep. Cause tomorrow is promised to know.
Facebook pages. What is it? Bitter Sugar?
When
YouTube, I mean as well. Bitter Sugar.
Miguel Lorne.
Miguel Lorne?
Yeah, say a big name, Miguel Lorne.
Miguel Lorne. That's them come on, Miguel Lorne.
Yeah, and then I say all this stuff come up with you see.
Yes, Miguel Lorne.
Yeah. If I want to type in Brother Miguel Lorne, I saw the program name today.
Brother Miguel Lorne.
Yeah, but if I'm typing Miguel Lorne, I find a page now.
But them put Brother Miguel Lorne and get it to the same way.
remember I say a few words to you. Remember the word I am saying to you right now. And for tomorrow and henceforth I say, render your hearts and not your garments. The truth is there for who have eyes to see. Partiality has no place in this judgment. Just remember the words of prophecy. I say, children, run, come, the troops and rise. That's what I'm about. You know the troops and rise. Teach it to the children. Run, come, the troops
Song
and
on Che
rise.
Guevara. Could I look up on the computer? Che Guevara, yeah? El Commandant. Finish?
Yeah.
Yes. Now, I see CARICOM, that's the Caribbean community, and the chairman of CARICOM. You know, every year a different prime minister, they rotate the chairmanship of CARICOM.
Mm-hmm.
So the chairmanship presently is the Antigua and Barbuda prime minister. That's Gaston Brown. And he's one of the more progressive prime ministers in the region. So he's now the chairman. Well, they had a meeting, and CARICOM has issued to America it could have been stronger, but a fair statement in terms of what they wanted to say. So the CARICOM countries have told the United States that its decades-old trade and economic embargo against Cuba has run its course and should now be lifted. So CARICOM find a little ball somewhere now, and it's telling America it is time now that this economic embargo we have on Cuba, it's time that it be lifted. In a July 26 letter sent by CARICOM to President Joe Biden, CARICOM chairman and Antigua and Barbuda Prime Minister Gaston Brown said that strong and mutually beneficial relations have been developed between Cuba and the Caribbean countries over a 49-year period. And CARICOM regards Cuba and its people as a valuable and respected member of our family of Caribbean nations.
Mm-hmm.
You know. His letter continued. Brown said that CARICOM has been and remains troubled by the circumstances in Cuba where there is a shortage of food, medicines, and other basic needs that results significantly from the long-standing U.S. trade embargo and the more recent punitive measures imposed by the previous U.S. administration. And they go into it some more. So I see CARICOM's a little, you know, it's a good little talk, but I would love them to back it up with some more guts now, you know.
But didn't Obama exercise some...
Yes, he had started some ameliorating measures with Cuba. And so they refer to that too, you know, they said they referred to that, that they referred to the fact that Biden was a part of the Obama administration.
He was vice president.
Yes, that had started to ease some of the problems and the restrictions on Cuba. So they referred to that, you know, to say that you were a part of that. So, you know, you should understand it.
Sure.
You know, and so on. But we support the people of Cuba, and we you know, we glad that CARICOM, we want them to be much stronger to say, well then, you know, ease off of the blockade of Cuba. For our listeners to understand the blockade, what Cuba has done, not Cuba, America has done, is when Fidel Castro and the revolutionaries, 82 of them, when they boarded the Granma, that's the boat in Mexico, to sail to Cuba to overthrow the Batista the Batista government, which they eventually succeeded in doing. Some bitter battles fight.
Yeah.
The revolutionaries lost some members and the government lost some. Now, when Fidel Castro took power in Cuba, along with the revolutionaries, they nationalized quite a number of American interests that were in Cuba.
Yes.
Under
the Batista's regime.
Yes. Banks, properties, businesses were nationalized. Nationalized mean taken over in the country's interest, because these companies were exploiting and raping the Cuban society and scraping a lot of the money and so on and sending it to America.
So it was authenticating the people's position.
Yes. And also the Americans were treating Cuba as them whorehouse. They would have their big businessmen and congressmen and all these men go down to Cuba to exploit the sisters there, using their American dollars to exploit the sisters. So along with the whoredom, there were a lot of casinos, there was a lot of gambling, and just, all sorts of loose behavior was taking place. So the Castro government said, no, all of them rubbish, they stop now.
It's non-productive.
And some of the hotels which these guys own were taken over by the government, the new government, and so on. So America vex ever since that happened.
Of course.
America vex. And when them place an embargo now, I want you all to understand it's not just America say, look, no trading must take place with Cuba. No this, no that, trying to restrict.
That's what the embargo says, right?
Yes, but more than that, if a third country, if, for example, Spain, Canada, Germany, wants to trade with Cuba, America is telling those countries, no, the embargo is there. You can't trade with those countries. You cannot trade with the country. So America is a big bully. You understand? So you must understand how these things work. And for example, if there is a bank that wants to do business with Cuba, and that bank has business in America, America threatens that bank. That has actually happened. And say, look, if your bank goes and trade with Cuba, then your assets we have in this country will be frozen and possibly confiscated.
That is what they call just ice.
Yes, you know what I mean? So that is how the embargo goes. It's not just America alone, but it bullies other countries not to trade with Cuba. And this has kept back the country in so many ways.
Cuba seems to have given quite a lot of support to other territories outside of its shores.
Of course, Africa, Caribbean.
So they have been doing very well, it seems.
Well, the embargo still stifle them a lot.
Yes, they could have done
much better with the creative resources that they have. And then they were doing quite well with the COVID business, because their vaccine, I think, is about ready or will soon be ready. They have done their trials.
70%.
And it has been recognized by the WHO as a viable vaccine. And so I don't know when it's going to be rolled out, but I would imagine that they themselves would want to get some compensation. And as usual, they will give it to other Caribbean countries and third world countries, but those other countries that we want, them have to pay. And so it can be a source of income for them. So the people of Cuba stay strong And I don't think them little people we're seeing of America and Florida jump up and all of that. And the 1 and 2 in Jamaica, they are traitors. Traitors. They cannot overthrow or stop the Cuban Revolution. They have tried many times. Those people in Florida and so on. This is just like when them kill the president of Haiti. They tried many times, brothers and sisters, with the help of the United States government. When Fidel Castro came to Jamaica here, up to that time, Fidel said there were 21 assassination attempts made to kill him up to the time when he came here.
Also here again.
Right, remember what 70s, when Mandela was the thing. You understand? There were 21. They made all sorts of attempts, brothers and sisters, to eliminate him and kill him. You know, and even not just to kill him in Cuba, but even when he went to other countries, when he went to Argentina, when he went to Peru, you know what I mean? And he tells us of how them put the guns in the cameras. You know, them television camera. Yeah, man, them put the guns in the camera. So when the cameraman did a wheel around the camera, and I go on like him, I take picture. And then at the right signal now, he must have pulled the trigger. And Fidel says, the thing, and you see, and when the time come, when him just a bam, bam, and I pull the trigger at the time, him wheel the camera come right up to Fidel face, you know. And him did, I pull the trigger, and I pull it, now fire. And him look upstairs now, and one upstairs, I signal him, you know, and I like him, I say, fire, fire. And him I say, now fire. And you know what I mean?
So what really happened?
Fidel intelligence, they underestimate them as usual, you know. So his intelligence knew that that was the plan. And they got hold of the camera and take out the gun. You understand?
The package,
yeah, man. Them take out the gun out of the camera and nobody don't know. So when my cameraman did there, quickly, go and take out the yeah, man.
One step ahead, eh?
Yeah, man. And it's not the first time Fidel did it. One at a time, and I look on the US, it was which president? One of them president, the White House. Fidel said, boy, you know, I said, if we could have moved, you know, would have moved, you know. Because after they beside this big bully, is a pain to you know. Say, if we could have moved, I'd have moved. We can't move. So him say, America boasts of its mighty air power, you know. Can bomb up Cuba if it want and bomb this and bomb that. So Fidel said, yes, we have no doubt that you have this mighty air power. And if we could have moved, we can't move. So there's one thing I wish to tell the President of America. Those planes take off from the ground.
Yes, the first piece of air.
That's all people are saying. Those planes take off from the ground. You understand? In other words, they might not reach the air. And you see when Fidel made that statement, the US government, the White House in particular, they changed half of them staff.
What a tragedy.
That's a tragedy. They realized that Fidel had infiltrated the staff.
Long time.
Yes, he had infiltrated the staff. So, and therefore, when a man talk like that and say, boy, the planes have to take off from the ground. You know, he might tell you, say, oh, and we're not going to slow down Cuba and wait till you go up in the ear. Yes. No, man. So, the man changed up because he realized, say, Fidel have a man in the White House who could have licked the president's head. That wasn't his objective.
But for being a regional country, it don't make political good sense not to be in any kind of relation with Cuba.
Yes, well, and the rest of us know we need to trade and work hard and so on. Yes. Yep, as we find our song. Which one it is? Comandante?
It's a Checover song.
Well, yes.
I think it's it,
Would have loved Fidel, but the thing. But Che Guevara, equally powerful. I should point out, just a minute later, I should point out that when they were leaving Mexico to go to Cuba to start the revolution on board the ship, the boat, the Grandma. Grandma is now the name of the main newspaper in Cuba. So when they were going on board, well, even before they reached going on board, whilst in Mexico, Fidel had a little girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, when him link up with Cheno, and apparently this girlfriend was planning to travel on the boat with them to Cuba. Mm-hmm. We know Che Guevara is a serious disciplinarian.
Yeah.
So he made it clear to Fidel, no woman will come on this mission, because that way it's a serious mission and we don't want a distraction. Yeah. So let's give you an idea how serious Che Guevara was. Yeah. When Che Guevara went to the Congo, he went there to help to overthrow the government that was in power, which was backed by the Belgians. Mm-hmm. And time Kabila, there's a Kabila who just recently resigned, who's there in Congo. His father was leading the revolt. Yeah. So Che Guevara went and he joined the revolt and so on in the Congo. Mm-hmm. But he never stayed to its finality. Okay. Because he did not like the indiscipline of the fighting forces, the African people who were fighting. He never liked it at all. And he wrote things in his diary. One of which was that, can you be a revolutionary and before you go to battle? Like there are some mornings they're going out to battle. And Kabila was a sort of fattish man. Yes. Kabila was eating 2 chicken before them go out on the battlefield. I said, but them things that, the indiscipline was too, you can't go to war that before you go out, you eat 2 chicken and all.
And if you get done feeding them,
so, Che Guevara was very vexed with them, and so on and so forth. Ernesto, yes.
Man have a big appetite, man.
From Fidel.
Huh?
From Fidel.
This is Fidel. All right.
Hay en mi Cuba una nueva vida. 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 Soy obrero de mi Cuba, trabajo con gran tesón, porque la patria me pide aumentar la producción. Ahora es mía la herramienta que cuido con gran placer. Somos los trabajadores que estamos en el poder. Hay en mi Cuba una nueva vida. 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 Al alcance de mi mano, mi fusil alerta está. Por si acaso los espirros se quieren equivocar. Los domingos con mis hijos voy al círculo social, donde antes los obreros no podíamos entrar. Hay en mi Cuba una nueva vida. En mi Cuba una nueva vida. Hay 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 en mi Cuba una nueva vida. Aumentar mi compañero, aumentar la producción, que mi fábrica se alegra en ritmo de emulación. Nueva vida de mi Cuba, cuánto orgullo saber que aquí nadie retrocede, nunca nos podrán vencer.
You want to play the chair next, please? Play the chair one next.
Aprendimos a quererte desde la histórica altura donde el sol de tu bravura
I have you on the line in the meantime.
le puso cerco a la muerte. Aquí se queda tan clara la entrañable transparencia de tu querida presencia, comandante Che Guevara. Tu mano gloriosa y fuerte sobre la historia dispara cuando todo Santa Clara se despierta para verte.
Yes, Jadon. What's his sister? What's her name? Makiba? Yes, what's her number? I want to call her.
Vienes quemando la brisa con soles de primavera
Tree what?
la bandera.
Sorry, start again. 326. 326. And what else? 79. 79, 69. Come on, repeat it for you. 326. 79, 69. All right. Okay. You mean do a three-way? No, it's alright. I'm just call her. I'm just want to just like a thank you song to her, you know? Alright. Let's start.
I get through the person.
I get through to Abby.
Seguiremos adelante, como junto a ti seguimos, y con Miguel te decimos, hasta siempre, comandante. Aquí se queda la clara la entrañable transparencia de tu querida presencia, comandante.
Greetings, Sister Makiba. Brother Miguel here. Yeah, man. So I wanted to call you back shortly on air to thank you, one, and two, you tell us a little about your work at the museum, some of the things you have discovered. Yeah, some of the things that you have seen, you know, just in terms of Leonard Howell, black people, Rastafari.
Le puso cerco a la muerte. Aquí se queda tan clara
la entrañable transparencia de tu querida presencia, comandante Che Guevara.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Tu mano gloriosa y fuerte sobre la historia dispara cuando todo Santa Clara se despierta para verte. Aquí se queda la clara la entrañable transparencia de tu querida presencia, comandante Che Guevara.
And you're working on that. All right, so I'm going to call you in the ear shortly here. Just stand by at the same number. I'm going to call you back in 2 minutes. Very good. Very good. Get the sister on the line for me, Makiba.
La entrañable transparencia de tu querida presencia, comandante Che Guevara. Tu amor revolucionario te conduce a nueva empresa donde esperan la firmeza de tu brazo libertario. A mí se me clara la entrañable transparencia de tu querida presencia, comandante Che Guevara.
Yeah, we're on the line. On the line now? Yeah. All right. Yes. Greetings and blessings. Greetings and blessings. I'm speaking to Sister Makiba. Blessings and honor, my sister. Firstly, we want to thank you for that gift which you sent for Windy. I thank you, blessings and honor. And when Windy came, he came to my office for it. Well, it was given to Jadon, and Jadon brought it over and left it with me the Thursday. And Windy came for it the Friday, which is His Majesty's Earth Day on the 23rd. At that time now, I was on the Zoom conference talking about the declaration. So not only did I invite Windy into my office, but I introduced him to the other brothers and sisters on the Zoom conference. I had him to sit beside me and to introduce him. And the gift was presented to him in front of all the brothers and sisters on the Zoom. And of course, Windy could not miss the opportunity of giving them a speech.
I picked up the energy.
Yes, it was well received, and it was impromptu, but it was well received. So I thank you, my sister. Also,
I'm only a week to which that has gotten to him. I may have made the decision to making the recipient of that achieve after Borough. We actually earned some money from his work.
yes.
He knows that I do Rastafari duty in the street, so he gave it to us. and say towards the collateralized work.
Okay.
I've had the funds over a period of time. I had some printing because I was thinking of using it, but then I got the printing done free. So I just kept it. And I was so impressed with that brother. Well, I heard the interview with him and his promotion and declaration of I was so impressed. And when I heard that he needed the help, it was more than a pleasure. I think work for he deserved it and more. And that was more than a pleasure for I to just forward that fund. But it's not my personal fund.
Well, in life, it's very few personal things we have. We are merely conduits through which things pass. So we still give thanks that your mind was tuned, and Brother Windy really appreciate it. Now, the other aspect that I want to mention, and for our listeners to understand, is that you're also a senior worker at the Spanish Town Museum. Isn't that so? The People's Museum at Spanish Town. Right. And you have been there for over 20 years.
Yes, I have.
Yes. Right. And my understanding now is that you're working on putting together a particular section in the museum with Rastafari accoutrements. Talk to us about that, because
It is a really minuscule space, very small space. The focus was on really folk medicine, folk, culture. Rastafari, surely, our philosophy, and being at one with nature, fitted well in that, influencing on to a large extent,
yes.
again, forth within the history of the island of Jamaica, rightfully so. It was seen as an important topic include to address, and so I have been given that duty to fulfill and to just sort of really, as I said, it is very, very small, so we have to put in artifacts in that area and to give us the overview of Rastafari within the history of Jamaica, post-emancipation period.
Yes.
So after, and of course, up until at least 1962 independence, post-emancipation, and Rastafari has been an integral part, the guiding force. One professor once said, Rastafari is the only culture in Jamaica as opposed outside of European culture, but there's no Jamaican culture, it's Rastafari culture. So that we have played that role, and not the space is really small. It does not reflect Rastafari role in the history and the guiding force. But it's a start, and we look forward to greater things in the future.
So you're setting up this section in the museum that will highlight some of Rastafari.
But it's more focused on the healing part, the naturalistic part.
The naturalistic. Okay.
Folk medicine,
Okay. Now, would that feature, because Leonard Howell was a serious folk medicine adherent. I don't know if this section will have something on Leonard Howell.
Well, it's a suggestion, and I should look into that. I've never really thought of that. So it's a good inspiration. Yeah, because he's a part of that foundation, so that's a good inspiration. We have to actually start with the there.
Okay. Also, being Spanish Town, and you're there quite some time. Have you come across records over there pertaining to Pinnacle, pertaining to?
Yeah. Yes, I went to the Jamaica archive.
Yes.
And I was doing some research on Leonard P. Howell, and I was going through some I think it's court papers and the destruction of the community.
The destruction of Pinnacle, yes.
Of the police arguments put forward and individual like parliamentarians, well, the veteran put forward against him, charges against him and so forth. I've heard, viewed on some of the papers, not extensively, but I've seen some writing up.
And these are available at the Spanish Town Museum at the moment?
No, I view them at the archives.
That's the archives in Kingston?
No, man, in Spanish Town.
Oh, the archives in Spanish Town.
And it's behind Rodney's Memorial.
Right. So you have the archives different from the museum?
Yes, man, yes. If you know the square, Emancipation Square.
Yes.
In Spanish Town, there are 4 big buildings.
Yes.
Right? So you have the King's House, which is on King Street, on the left-hand side. You have Parish Council opposite to the King's House. You have the burnt out
courthouse. I see. Behind Rodney's Memorial. It's over here. Yes. Yes, behind Rodney's Memorial. That's where the archives. And you're saying that you come across some documentation. Yes.
And those in the council.
Okay, and so on. And you basically see documents there that deals with the destruction of Pinnacle.
Yes, man, I have.
All right. So this is something that the public can come and view?
Well, I don't know what the situation is at the moment at the archive.
Yes.
What I was able to view it, along with papers that those were the newspaper clippings on visit in 1962.
Yes.
So I was able to view those papers also. So I don't know with the COVID,
Jomo?
if it is
hello?
open to the public that people
Who
can go
this?
there and view at the moment, but I was able.
Chum. I did on the ear now, not Chum. Yes, where you there? You can't talk language, I'm asking where you there. Yes. 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 Yeah, man. Sorry about that. Right. Yes. Right. I just got a call from someone. So basically you're saying that but you could check that out and let me know so that we could encourage some of those who like to read these things and analyze them and so on, that they become available to them, to look at it. Yes.
I will go and check that out and return.
Yes. And in fact, now I'm giving you more work, because not just Leonard Howell, but anything you see on the Rastafari struggle, and of course you must see quite a bit on the black struggle there. Bring it to our attention, let's talk about it on the air, because the more knowledge we gain, the more things we have to analyze and disseminate, to increase our knowledge and so on, is helpful along the way.
for the freedom of ourselves, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
For the freedom of ourselves.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, man, it is critical. As the Almighty said, my people perish because of lack of knowledge, and they that lead them cause them to err. So we still are not achieving our full potential.
Yes.
You know, so it begins with knowledge, and I think now is the time. Now is the time for that.
Yes.
So it is a reality.
Yes.
And it is critical for our survival as a people going forward to retake our position, the honorable position that we once had.
Yes.
So
Beautiful.
knowledge is power.
Yes. Very much so. My sister, I really thank you for joining us. And we'll be keeping in close touch with you. And thank you again. And I don't know if Windy had called you. I'd given him your number.
Okay, I've not necessarily.
Yes, generally he has a problems with phone because he doesn't have a phone. Or
so we overstand.
All right. Give thanks and heal all the brothers and sisters for you and I.
Yes, I.
One love.
And still have that blessings upon the family, you know?
Every time. Blessings and honor. Nice. Nice, 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 nice. Yes, as we roll on now, moving up to 10 o'clock. Yes. Brother Donovan, what tidings you bring?
Well, everything is just perfect love. I know I say Malcolm X here. I want to say I love this picture of Malcolm X.
A picture of Malcolm X on the table here at the studio.
Yes, sir. Yes. Very eloquent virgin. I just love the virgin and him discourse from them time there, you know?
Yes.
I hear Brother Jerry I replay him today.
Yes.
Where Moist stand was.
Yes.
And the man basically saying, it's time to stop the singing and start the swinging.
Yes.
That kind of thing. So
yes.
Time
we stop the entertainment.
Yes, we as a people.
Well, you can't stop the entertainment,
Entertainment is what keeps us going.
But
makes us nice.
But the entertainment must not be the main thing. That's a problem with the black race. Entertainment must be, we take a break from the main objective.
To resuscitate.
Yes, you don't come on the earth for entertain. You come on the earth to
fulfill a purpose.
Yes, and part of that purpose is that's what we talk about at the beginning of the program, the Mahat.
Yes.
The reciprocity. Mahat, the Creator has given us something,
Yes.
We have to. Yes, we have to not only give Him back something, but give others something. That's the reciprocity.
Yes.
That's what I mean. And that can't exist with just this whole heap of music and singing and dancing and jumping. That have its place.
Yes.
Our main thing, in terms of I and I as Rastafari, is how we build, a sustainable and complete tradition that for ourselves, for our children, for our grandchildren, within the earth and so on.
That foundation that we and our continuity, so we can continue to exist as a people with our own autonomy, freedom, our own key, pull where we want for going.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Now, I'm still making the call. If anyone know in the family of Sam Brown, yes, Brother Sam, please get in touch with I and I. Anyone know any relative of Sam Brown, our beloved Rastafari brethren, was past couple of years now, but we're still trying to see if we can find any relatives of his. I want to heal up Brother Ija Noah.
Yes, sir.
Brother Ija Noah, who spent some time here with us and at the studio here. We give thanks to the brother and we wish him blessings and honor in his journey. We also want to remind you that sister that we had on the program some weeks ago, Pure Nature's Beauty. Pure Nature's Beauty, where she makes several different types of soap. And her number is 326-1003. 326-1003. Pure Nature's Beauty. We get the turmeric soap, the peppermint soap, and all of that. I'm using one of those soap right now, boy. Peppermint and them soap, they're always nice. And so on. So you can always call and get your soap. And so on. We want to mention also, Peanut Man up there in St. Mary, up in Junction there in St. Mary, yes. Peanut Man, you promised me the banana suckers, them man, and I not see them come. So I just look a little no tighter, man. So get in touch with me now, let me know when you come with the suckers. I also want to heal up Ras Lion. Now, Ras Lion and myself, we have taken on a project which is to provide water for the Haile Selassie High School. And we need help. I need help in terms of doing something like a jump round towards the project. So if there's anyone want to assist us in this project, we are at the stage now where we are trying to get invoices to get an idea how much to bring water. We want to build some tanks on the premises at Haile Selassie High School. I want to give you an idea of that, because this thing of the plastic tanks and buy water, which is amazingly, not just the school, but a lot of people in the community down at Peanland is buy water. No, this was an area where you had a prime minister was MP for the area, and them never solved the water problem. I don't understand this. I thought a prime minister would make sure. His Majesty made a speech, where him say, water, I want to read just that little part. Where him say, water, I'm saying now, water is the lifeblood. And say, since water is the lifeblood of a people, the lasting benefits of this reservoir are immense. It was opening a reservoir in Ethiopia. Since water is the lifeblood of a people, the lasting benefits of this reservoir are immense. You understand? Huge. And to know that the Prime Minister was Prime Minister for the area, well, MP for the area, and until now. So, brothers and sisters, what we're thinking of is to build 3 tanks, 3 underground tanks, or put it in the ground, not so much underground, but in the ground, and to catch the rainwater off the roofs of these school buildings and make the rainwater run right into these tanks. So we'll be able to use that water now, certainly for the field, the football field, to make sure the grass and things run, because sometimes some parts of it thing. We would also use some of those water now, channel it into some of the toilet areas and so on, of the school. And then other areas where water is needed. So we have identified 3 areas of building 3 tanks. The tanks will be roughly about 12 foot by 12 foot, in and around, between 10 foot thing. But we think that, mark you, when water run off of them roof then, like a 12 by 12 tank, yes, it's more than that. But we can't make the budget too big, because we're going to be calling on the Rastafari community to donate towards the budget as soon as we line up that budget.
So the water situation critical.
Yeah, man, the people around, not just the school, the people around buy water. The school buy water, Haile Selassie School buy water. Yes, that's bad. Buy water, you can't buy it, man. That's why I said it looks so bad for no say a former prime minister was an MP and never did solve the water problem. Apparently, he's a historian. So even the people next door the school and other people in the community where we inquire this by the water. So that is why now Brother Lion, who is really the man in charge of the project, pull me into it now and said, look, we have to supply the school with water. Have to. Yeah. And you know, so we have a lot of work to do. We need help. So those who can help, when I start the building yet, you know, we are outline the plans, so much blocks we're going to need, how much steel we're going to need. Soon as that's settled, we'll make our community know, and those who can donate to it. Those who can come help the day with that thing. Yes, we're gonna need that. So we're just letting out that song from, but even as we plan, we need assistance. Of August. The 6th of August is normally Independence Day, but Dean died. It goes out to Barnett Street and demonstrate in solidarity. Well, we are organizing a little demonstration here in Kingston at Halfway Tree on the 6th of August in solidarity. That was the date when the brother was beaten on the 3rd, taken to the hospital and died on the 6th. So bear that in mind. We'll talk more about that next week, that we would certainly like the continuation of that struggle with regard, because in other words, brothers and sisters, that is our George Floyd, eh? Yep. That is our George Floyd. You arrest a man for a spliff and thing, and the government really wishy-washy, you know. Because I wrote a letter to the Prime Minister and I don't get back a reply now, you know. And I remember the Prime Minister came down to Montego Bay, went to the cells at Barnett Street, looked at the bunk and the places where they put Mario Dean. You understand what I mean? That time he was in opposition, so it looked like it was a political gimmick. Yes. So I reminded him of that. He showed interest in the case at that time when he was in opposition, knowing his Prime Minister. And I point out to him the disgrace that the Attorney General Department is asking for the case to be delayed, the civil case to be delayed because 3 police is on trial. There are 3 other inmates who pleaded guilty to manslaughter for killing a man. So it's about because 3 officers are on trial. You know, it's mind-boggling that our Attorney General's chambers could reduce themselves so low. Yeah. You know, they are not the defense for the policeman. They are not representing him. He has his own lawyers and so. And this issue has come up. The persons you put him with in the side of the cell have pleaded guilty, and yet you have not offered 1 single cent as compensation. It's a disgraceful government and so on, man. Total disgrace. So we have looked like we have to demonstrate to get some action in all of this. Now, the book, 2020 Vision Ideas, a lovely book with compile of different writers and so. I have some of those books available at the bookstore. Price is $3,000. Very, very good book. I want to heal the brothers. Brother Jomo, I don't see where I put the number. Well, we're supposed to call Jomo in Buffalo. Now, this is what has happened. Brother Jomo is a representative of is a union representative. He lives in Buffalo, United States. And the Brother Jomo now, he works with the government. The government is on the verge of implementing that all government workers in the United States, especially those that work with the federal overall government of the United States, that they must be vaccinated, as part of their strategy to try to curb the rising situation that they are seeing. So they are insisting that all of these workers must be vaccinated.
Compulsory.
Brother Jomo, a Rastafarian brethren and some black conscious and very active, he is submitting the declaration which was launched on Friday, the Rastafari Declaration. He is submitting that declaration to back up his point as to why he should be exempted from the vaccine. I wanted to talk to him tonight, but for some reason or other, I can't locate his number, so I'll have to speak to him next week. But he has his lawyer, and he's looking at it there, and so on. So, as we move out of here now, we give thanks, and we close off with Ajamu, as he says. As he says, African puppet leaders, many of whom selling us out. My clock, for my watch. For my watch. The time.
Let's go to back to sleep.
Poor people dying of hunger because of this poor. Them are kill babies, children, women, man, because of this poor. Them are use black people in order to build this poor. Them are real Africa in order to achieve this poor. But what is this poor talking about? Brutality, sexual brutality, poor people brutality, black people brutality, all because of this war. Never make their own laws because of this war. They go take over our land because of this war. Poor people can't own a thing because of this war. Black people
Right, I'm going to say something. Just to remind you all that the annual general meeting of the Marcus Garvey People's Political Party, the annual general meeting will be held on the 11th and the 12th of September. 11th and the 12th of September this year, the annual general meeting will be held at 75 East Street. Meeting of the party will resume on the 12th of August, Thursday, the 12th of August, 21, they'll be meeting. Those who can come in person and those who can join by Zoom. So you'll have regular meeting on the 12th of August, 21. But the MGM, the AGM, I should say, annual general meeting will be on the Saturday, the 11th, and Sunday, the 12th September. Thank you all. Blessings.
But what is all this power about? Brutality, sexual brutality, poor people brutality.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, man. Yes, sir. Brutality.
Yes, sir. Man, the pants spot this week.
Yeah. We did last week, man. We're coming a little bit late.
Yes. How about an ordinary shirt this week?
Yeah.
I'm
ordinary.
but the city for work hard up, don't let me go back home.
I don't think it's possible for you to be ordinary, you know.
Them have all of the documents there. Forced labor is one of the many forms of human trafficking.
Look,
Report
African.
suspected cases of human
That
trafficking.
real
Call the
African,
nearest
yeah.
police station, 119 or 888.
I will turn your Prime
A message from the
Minister
Ministry
now,
of National Security.
No, man, you become the Prime Minister. You become the Prime Minister.
Yeah.
Yes, why not?
No, vote for him.
You certainly do better than we did it.
Be shut down and locked down.
Don't know what them are doing. One please them friends. Lock down and then your friends say, boy, I couldn't have a dream weekend. No, you lock me out.
Yeah.
Some of you change up and switch up. That's how the roots of the whole thing. You know. One of them friend and thing. Window of the church today.
Yeah.
God bless him. Yeah, man. Probably that's why we don't see you tonight.
My boss. And I think my grateful.
When we go back to my little list now, me remember some everybody mentioned there and for that meeting. The apparatus and things like that.
Everyone is fire.
Thank you. Thank you. That's a couple of them. Nice.